no man should ever enter where we are going. Beware what lurks in the depths of the libtard zone.
We could easily solve our balanced budget problems by simply repealing the taxes, the tax cuts on millionaires and billionaires enacted over the last 10 years. But what is really the major problem in this country today is the fascism in our streets. The attacks on American citizens by masked hoodlums. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you were being kidnapped. You'd be justified in shooting the person to protect yourself. But we see people being shot for what? For driving a car? We see people, we see the ICE goons break into people's homes without a warrant. We see them drag out a man, an American citizen, in his underwear without even permitting him, in the snow, without even permitting him to get dressed. This is the major problem we have today, along with the attack on our elections. We saw last week.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage the press to go look at these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially, that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, of the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women now, who were girls at the time, who were victims of sex trafficking. Also, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, moved her to a minimum security prison, and then got a puppy for her. So for all those reasons, he's just got to leave the Department of Justice.
We must have accountability, and we must bring justice to every fascist in the administration, and that includes Kristi Noem, that includes Stephen Miller, and that includes Tom Homan. ICE will be abolished, VHS will be dismantled, and together we will get it done.
Because this administration is trying to put me in prison for 17 years for standing up to the department she leads, for standing up to ICE, because that is what this administration does.
Is this thing working? Is this on? Am I actually broadcasting? Oh my gosh, this feels very, very weird. Very weird to me that I'm actually able to talk to you guys today. It's crazy. I feel like I got to give a little bit of an explanation. So here goes my explanation. I don't know what the hell happened the last day or so. I've had 3 or 4 different people dig in, remote in, check things out, look at things, change settings, do all kinds of things. And then over the last 12 hours, we've done a number of different tests. We've done a test privately. We've done tests on YouTube. We've done tests on Twitter. Those seem to have worked. So I think, because I'm not an IT guy, I think they've got it set. I'm still having some other things I'm working on. My headset didn't connect. So We're trying to get all the gremlins out. I appreciate you guys for going through what we went through yesterday. What a pain in the butt. And now, because of yesterday, I have an entire show already in the tank that I'm going to talk about. And so some of what I'm going to talk about, you guys may have heard the news, the top level news, but I'm going to give you a little bit more insight. I'm going to dig in. Many of you guys know that I was involved in the music industry for quite some time. I've promoted some of the biggest names you know in music, from Aerosmith to Z, Warren Zevon, God rest his soul. Literally from A to Z, I've done shows with so many of these people. I don't even want to bore you with all the people that I've done shows with. I was doing probably at one point back in the day, I don't know, 5 to 10 concerts a month, major concerts a month when we were at our heyday. In fact, my old boss just got arrested for murder today. My old boss used to own a nightclub called the Stone Balloon, and we did a lot of concerts there. And this guy just ran into so many different drug problems before he lost his business, and now it looks like he's lost his freedom. But working there and then going to, working with Clear Channel and doing some stuff with Live Nation, I really learned the background of the music business. So I know you've heard a lot of people talking about the Grammys, but I'm going to give you my perspective. And then again, I'm going to show you someone who's an artist right now, Nicki Minaj, let her tell you some stuff about it. And hopefully we won't be here for 3 or 4 hours, but maybe we'll pick it up tonight if I have time, if we're not here too long. But needless to say, I don't know. I can't confirm a lot of the stories that we all have heard over the last few years. I've never heard anybody specifically talk about doing stuff with babies. I've never heard that in terms of personal, without it being hearsay. So I'm not going to really go down there. But I have heard the other stuff. I have heard them about, worshiping Lucifer and some of the craziest stuff you can imagine. I think the closest I got to that, and it wasn't Ozzy. No, it wasn't Ozzy. The closest I got to some serious black magic stuff was a band called Danzig. And when they showed up at the arena, it actually scared me. I mean, everybody thinks that everybody in music is, worshiping the devil and the horns and everything else. No, a lot of that stuff is an act. But there's some people out there who think this stuff is serious. And those people are the ones you really want to, I don't even want to talk about. I don't need, like Robin, we'll be watching a movie and she'll hit mute. I'm like, why'd you hit mute? She goes, I don't know. They're doing some sort of incantation. And I don't even want those words coming through the speakers. So I'll spare you those details as we go forward. But anyway, I'm excited to finally be back to doing a show. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Hopefully you guys will like it. Hopefully everything will go. I'm looking at the different levels. No, I'm not going to cross my fingers because I got God. I told Ashley yesterday, God's got us. God's going to watch out for us. But anyway, the intro, because what I'm going to start doing is intros now, whether it be through Faith the AI or just some cuts, is because it allows me to, and this is something that they advise, because run it for a good 4 to 6 minutes before you start. That way we can see what the levels are. If there's something that's wrong, they can tweak it before we get into the show. So I got to come up with something quirky that we can run as a pre-show on an ongoing basis. So in any event, that's where we're going to go with it. Before I get into the show, got to talk to you about our first partner sponsor. It's funny. I don't know if you guys watched Dan Bongino yesterday. You may have watched him today. But what I found was funny was he opened up his show and he was talking about how people were giving him a hard time because he runs commercials. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for telling people, but somehow they must forget. Because if you turn on television, there's always going to be, every 15 minutes or so, a couple of advertisements. That's the nature of the business. That's how we keep the lights on. That's how I can afford to pay the techs and get them in here to do what they need to do. I don't know if you noticed, but something happened, when was it? 2 days ago, over the weekend, And it was something that you should be paying attention. You should have paid attention to this if you have not. Did you see this? And if you haven't seen it, let me be the first one to show it to you. They tried to keep this very, very quiet. A lot of people have asked me, what's going on with silver? What's going on with gold? What kind of manipulation is happening? Right now, it's very, very precarious what's going on. On Friday, Chicago Bank, the first bank in the nation that failed on Friday and got no news. Nobody even talked about it. The Chicago Bank failed, becoming the first in the nation to go under in 2026. Regulators shut down Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust in River North on Friday. Detroit-based First Independence Bank acquired all of its deposits. So we've got the first bank that has actually gone under. A lot of people have been talking, how are these banks going to be able to support themselves with gold and silver so high, which is part of the reason why they've been trying to suppress the price. And in doing so, they have been causing all kinds of volatility in the silver and gold market. So I've been telling people, just hold on, don't do anything crazy. I mean, you can do what you want, but I would advise you to stay the course for the time being. I mean, right now, we know if you bought some gold and silver and didn't freak out, you're doing well if you got it at the right price point. They're trying everything they can do to suppress the market. They have to. And I'm not sure if you saw that about that Bank of Chicago, but I don't think it's going to be the last time. The days of excessive money printing, overvalued markets, and global unrest are finally catching up to the elite. They deserve what's coming for them. Instead of pulling back, now is the time to do your research, keep your eyes open to all kinds of trends. Remember the trend line and get some information from my friends at Lear Capital. Experts are still predicting $6,000 gold and 100 and what the hell happened now? Hold on. Hold on. My camera. Oh boy. There's something else there. Wait a second. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me go here.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know. The gremlins just showed up again. But anyway, what I was saying about Lear Capital, give my friends at Lear Capital a call. I'll owe them some more backup information on this whole thing. And I don't know why that thing shut down, but don't freak out. And what I would advise you to do is if you really want to know more about the market, go ahead and give them a call at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com for some additional information. They're still predicting $6,000 gold and $150 to $200 silver. Everything you're seeing is being driven by geopolitical uncertainty, inflation concerns, and a perceived weakening of the U.S. dollar. And the whole shutdown thing as well. Is it time for you to buy some gold or silver? That's a decision you'll have to make. But if you call Lear Capital, they'll help you by getting the most accurate information you need to make an informed decision. Call the best in the business, and that's the company Robin and I personally trust and do business with. Call Lear Capital. It's a free call. There's no obligation to purchase, just education and information on protecting and growing your wealth with gold and silver. I'm sure there are many of you out there that have called and haven't purchased yet for whatever reason. That's up to you, but they'll walk you through shifting some of your money if you want to from your retirement accounts over to physical gold and silver. It's easy to do. I've been extremely satisfied with Lear's knowledge, service, and their prices. So I urge you to call 800-601-5430, 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com to learn more. All right, so assuming my camera doesn't go off again, let's get into today's show. There is a little bit of breaking news. That's why I keep looking up to seeing what's going on. A little bit of breaking news that I want to bring to you right now.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
Sort of nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked.
Tulsi Gabbard has been tapped by the President of the United States to oversee the sanctity and the security of our American elections. She's working directly alongside the FBI Director, Kash Patel. This is a coordinated whole-of-government effort to ensure that our elections, again, are fair and transparent moving forward. I don't see anything wrong with the President tasking a cabinet member to pursue an issue that most people want to see solved. Maybe you don't, but I know many Americans do want to make sure our elections are protected, and that's what Tulsi Gabbard is focused on doing.
All right, so now we have full confirmation where we don't have to worry about these people freaking out. Why was Tulsi Gabbard in Fulton County? Why was she there watching the trucks? And now you know. Now, finally, the White House has come out with a statement and said she is running point on the investigation. Of course, now you're going to see all these people who jump in and say that he's lost confidence with Kash. He's lost confidence with the FBI. He's lost confidence with Pam Bondi. And none of that's true. If you're following along closely and you see what's happening, and something's happening today, which I believe also is tied into it, if you guys aren't understanding that. So I had mentioned to you before, I'm going to go through the timeline real quick here. January 3rd, Maduro is picked up. January 12th, 2 grand juries are opened down here in South Florida. 2, not 1, but 2. 1 in Fort Pierce, 1 in Miami or Fort Lauderdale. 2 of them. Then they have the raid in Fulton County. Now, I want you to have a little bit of whipped cream on this real quick here. The whipped cream on this is, after all that is said and done, Tulsi Gabbard went to Fulton County and she ran, so now we're finding out, given the authority to run the election integrity investigation. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say now we've had something else, another breadcrumb that has dropped today. And that breadcrumb that dropped today is that the president of Colombia is at the White House. This is the same president of Colombia who was trashing Trump a couple of weeks ago. He just happened to come in and bend the knee today and show up at the White House. This guy who was friends with Maduro, who trashed Trump for a week or two after Maduro was taken, is now at the White House in a private meeting. I'm looking to see if they come out and make a statement. I've got the television queued up, but as of right now, there's been nothing released about what the heck they're talking about. We're talking about Colombia. We're talking about Medellin. We're talking about Yayo. This is the home for where the cocaine comes from. We're talking about probably a lot of those boats that you see get blowed up. The guy who was trashing Trump is now at the White House bending the knee. I could be completely off base. I could be completely wrong, but you'd have to be really, really obtuse to not think what you're seeing isn't related. You can draw your own parallels from this, but you can look around online and you see not too many people are talking about it. Yet another thing that people just aren't talking about. Why aren't they talking about the president of Colombia being at the White House? You just saw a spot from Caroline Leavitt. She showed up and she's telling everybody what's going on in terms of Tulsi Gabbard, but she's not making statements. There's no press conference. There's no joint statement. Just a private meeting. Private meeting that culminated with Caroline Leavitt coming out and saying Tulsi is now in charge. You guys can take that any way you want, but I'm pretty sure I take it. I'm looking at things from 30,000 feet and going, hey, this stuff all makes a lot of sense right now, how it's all jiving. And I think the biggest takeaway from it, silence. Absolute silence. Nobody wants to talk about it. I want to go to another piece, and this piece here, President Trump showed up on Dan Bongino's show yesterday. It's only a minute long. I want you to hear this.
Sort of nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won that show I didn't win. Now you're going to see something in Georgia where they were able to get with a court order the ballots. You're going to see.
You catch that? You're going to see something in Georgia. This was Dan's first show back. This was yesterday. So on Monday morning, I think Dan went on at 10. I think President Trump was on his show at 11:30. And so, again, you start putting things together chronologically. And I've gone through the dates. And then yesterday, he's like, you're going to see some things. And then today, you see something. You saw two things. You saw the president of Colombia show up at the White House and Caroline Leavitt announcing that Tulsi Gabbard is in charge of the investigation.
Some interesting things come out. But, you know, like the 2020 election, I won that election by so much. Everybody does it. They put a woman in jail, Colorado, put a woman in jail, a wonderful woman, 72 years old, had cancer, because she was a voting inspector. She was in charge of a voting area. And she saw boxes of votes come in. So she went over to check it, and they put her in jail for voter manipulation, and she's still in jail. And they better let her out fast. And they're suffering a big price, Colorado. They have this woman in jail who's 71 years old and probably has cancer. She's sick. And they put her in because she challenged somebody that was dumping ballots into a box, okay? And they didn't put them in jail. This was during Biden's term. The worst president in history. And we had some bad ones. I mean, look, Barack Hussein Obama, I call him the Great Divider. Right. People couldn't stand him. You mentioned his name, they go crazy. They start booing the hell out of him. We had some really bad ones. I mean, Jimmy Carter wasn't exactly the greatest. Jimmy Carter didn't exactly have the hit on Venezuela that I...
You know, President Trump has prided himself many times, and you've heard him at his speeches. He does this thing called the weave. And he'll come in and out of subjects. Basically, it's a technique he uses. He tries to reinforce something. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and Biden did this and everything else. But as he's weaving and bobbing and boom, stinger comes in. And that stinger is, you're going to hear something tomorrow. You're going to see some information coming out about that. And by the way, and he goes right back into it. It's like a snake bite. He hits and recoils. You ever watch a snake bite something? If you're watching Discovery Channel, they're coiled up, they strike, and they come back. And I saw somebody today who alluded to the fact of what we're seeing with President Trump right now is something akin to Muhammad Ali, who he's mentioned quite a few times. If you guys are old enough to remember, or if you were boxing fans, there was a huge boxing match. I think they called it the Thriller in Manila. And the Thrilling in Manila was when he fought Joe Frazier, I believe, or it was either Frazier or George Foreman. And that's when he did the rope-a-dope. And he let him hit him for about 6 or 7 rounds. And he took the punishment, he took the pain, he took the shots, he took the body blows. And then when it got to the later rounds, when he had been completely, he was punched out, he was too tired, and he was just bobbing and weaving back, and he couldn't hit him. And then he turned it around and beat the shit out of him. I believe it was Foreman. I think it was Foreman. You guys can correct me. The rope-a-dope. But if you ever see the video of that, you can see this big, I think it was Foreman. You see this big guy just pummeling him. And he sat there like this along the ropes and just let him hit him. And he knew as long as he didn't hit him in the vital areas, okay, you can get me over here. I've already trained my arms. Go ahead, beat me, beat on me. I got it. And then he dropped his hands and was playing with him, doing all this kind of stuff. You couldn't hit me. That's where we are right now. We are at rope-a-dope. We are at that point right now where he's beginning to strike back. I'm going to take this real quick because this is John Thune. Let's see what he's got to say. Let me see.
Floor time. There's a finite amount of it, and we have a lot of things we have to do. There's a housing bill that's awaiting action, hopefully a market structure bill, possibly permitting reform, farm bill, highway bill. You can go right down the list. Russia sanctions, there are a whole bunch of things that could be teed up for action on the floor of the Senate. And so you have to make some judgments, and the conference will have a conversation about that. I've committed to that we will talk about that idea and determine whether or not what the conference's views are about it and how they want to proceed. As I said, we will vote on the SAVE Act, but exercising or triggering a talking filibuster has ramifications, implications that I think everybody needs to be aware of. So we will have those discussions, but that's obviously ties the floor up for an indefinite amount of time with not only unlimited debate, but also unlimited amendments.
All right, rather, we had the Senate Majority Leader and the Speaker of the House speaking at the same.
I don't know this plan. I'm not going to speak on it because I don't know what they're trying to do. But obviously, President Trump keeps coming out and saying that he's behind Thune and Mike Johnson. There's a plan afoot, and we're going to see how it unfolds. So I'm going to get into all of that with the breaking of the filibuster, making them stand for this filibuster, and we'll talk about that, and also the judges and what's been going on, and the whole thing with the SAVE Act. Personally, let me save my opinion for that because I think it's going to be different than you're hearing from a lot of other people. So anyway, that was President Trump, and I figure right now he's doing his rope-a-dope. He also said this on Dan's show yesterday. Let's listen to this.
Second, to the libs and their media pals, liberals out there, with you guys, you've always hated me. The feeling's probably mutual. I don't like you guys either. I would like to think when I went in there, I had an open mind. I didn't go in there with any partisan intent. And the people we arrested, where we crushed the crime rate in largely liberal cities, we didn't do it to score political points. No one's voting for anyone I support in these liberal cities anyway. We did it because the job matters. So liberals and their media pals, you can get your lips and just pucker them up and plant a big wet one on my ass.
I just wanted to throw that in there. To me, that was just, I felt so good about it. And the thing is, it doesn't matter whether you're a Dan fan or not, whether you're part of the Bongino army or not. I just like the fact that there is another voice back out there, another voice fighting the fight. As you know, if you follow this show, I am so over the entire panic and stuff. I am so over this black pill BS. I just think we need more unifying voices. And when I say unifying, I am not saying it all to be a bootlicker. I know there's people out there that still harping on the Epstein files. I told you about that. People got pissed off. I know there's people saying about the SAVE Act. We got to do it. We got to have it. My thing is, and I don't have inside knowledge like Dan may have. My thing is, Let the man cook. Let him do what he has to do. He's got a game plan. And I'm going to forever just say, let the guy cook. He's the captain. He's the head coach. He's the boss. It's not our job to second guess. If you second guess him now after 1 year, I don't think you were ever signed up for this fight. This fight is going to get, we haven't even got to the point yet where it gets bad. We haven't even got to the point where all the gloves get taken off and we just have a street brawl. Right now, it's easy for too many people. It's easy for me. If my biggest problem is, oh my God, my stream went down. If my biggest problem is my camera just shut off, we haven't got to that fight yet. We haven't got to the point where Minneapolis is happening this summer and cities across the country and maybe even near you. Don't for an instant think right now that they're not regrouping and planning once it gets warmer. Don't for an instant think right now that it's over there in Minneapolis. It's not coming to me. It's not coming to my church. Oh yeah, it's not coming to where my kids go to school. I don't know if you've seen a video, they won't let me show it here, but a teacher got his butt whooped by a bunch of kids in Texas. They just beat the crap out of this teacher. And it couldn't have been more than 15, 14 years old, but it was like 50 of them. And people are sitting back going, did this really just happen in Texas? Oh, it most assuredly did and most assuredly will. I don't think people are seriously ready for what's about to happen. And I've said so much that I feel like I'm at this point a broken record and trying to let everybody know, be wary. If you think it's bad now, wait until you see the spring and summer. It's too damn cold right now. Nobody really wants to get out there. But it's going to grow, and it has to grow, and there's a lot of money, a ton of money being put into this. Hundreds of millions of dollars. They haven't spent it all yet in terms of what they're doing. And that's where I'm going to segue from there into this whole Grammy thing. Because one of the things I don't think a lot of people realized when they were watching this, if you watched it, this fiasco called the Grammys. Everybody saw what Billie Eilish said. Everybody saw what Bad Bunny had to say. But you didn't look behind the scenes. And behind the scenes that you have to understand, as much as they try to play off like they're artists, they're whores. Everybody up there has a price. Everybody up there understands, get it, get your money. And so no one has looked at this from the perspective of what you probably didn't see it, but you maybe saw the clips, but people weren't looking at it from the perspective of you were watching human billboards. You were watching people who said, you can rent a space on my ass. When I was involved with the Grammys, do you know that the gift bag, just the frickin' gift bag that they give out to people, you come down the red carpet and you go into the different rooms and the tents and everything, and so many companies are there trying to shill and say, take my product. The gift bag, this was back, I don't know, 15 years. The gift bag had over $50,000 to $75,000 of goodies in it. Nobody talks about that. And the only reason I knew, because when I was there, and not trying to drop any names, but I was there with Steven Tyler and Shaka Khan, and first time I had ever been there, and I'm like, do you see the stuff in this bag? And I remember him saying, yeah, they kind of scrimped this year. And I'm like, here's some Fendi, and there was so much stuff in this bag that you could have taken to a pawn shop and lived for a year. And they just hand it out to everybody as they walk in, and they know to walk in. as you're sitting there, you're like, okay, well, are people going to come in here? Oh, they're coming. They know they get free stuff. And here they came. Here came LL Cool J, and here came Steven Tyler and Shaka Khan and Slash, and they just walk in and like hardly talk. Give me my bag. And those bags have 50. I mean, nowadays it probably has $100,000 plus in just gimmies. So everybody in there, if you look at it as they are walking, talking billboards, you get a different perspective. Same thing with athletes. I personally know what that's like. Hey, what do you want me to say? You want me to hold this hat? Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Oh, this is like one of the best hats you'd ever seen, which we're giving away probably tomorrow. How much? Oh, if you say something about the hat, we'll give you $100,000. This is the damn best hat I ever lived. Best damn hat I ever saw. That is what you have to look at this. I think Billie Eilish and I think some of these people, number one, they wanted to say it. Number two, they really don't care what you think. With all the stuff that's happening with her right now and how she's being dragged through the mud over and over and over. And it's all, I'm like, she probably got paid 7 figures to say what she said. Do you think it was a coincidence that Bad Bunny, who I don't know anybody who listens to his music, won Album of the Year a couple days before the Super Bowl? Oh, what a coincidence. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy. I thank you. Give me a check. Bad Bunny, who nobody could probably in this audience could even name a song, won Album of the Year, and then, 3 or 4 days, he's going to be at the halftime of the Super Bowl. Come on, man. I was born, well, not yesterday. I wasn't born at night, and definitely not last night. This is the kind of thing people don't realize is that when you take this remote and you do this, everything you see has been paid for and programmed, including, as you recently found out, PBS and Big Bird, and the entire thing. Everything is paid for. There is nothing altruistic. The last altruistic thing was probably Jerry Lewis and his telethons. But from the moment these people step on stage or come out the limo, what do you know? Well, they get out the limo. Who are you wearing? I'm wearing a Barry. Barry's got this great shirt, and it's an awesome shirt. Oh, and the shoes. Those were Barry's beat up tennis shoes. Everything is being paid for. Hi, how you doing today? Oh, I'm doing fantastic with my Barry hat on and my Barry shirt, and and Robin got him some shorts here. And looking good here today. Yeah, how you doing? Everything. And so people are surprised that somebody has a hand stuck up these people's rump. Hey, say something about F-Ice. Oh, you're so cool. Down to the seating. We need to make sure you're up front, you're in back. Nobody knows who the hell you are. And so when you take it from that perspective, there's no shock that these people say F-Ice. There's no shock when they come. I mean, look how they dress. Lady Gaga, in case you haven't seen it, I wish I could show this stuff. Lady Gaga looked like she was wearing a bird cage on her head in her satanic performance, paying homage to whatever she was paying homage to. Understand, everybody has a sticker on their butt. And I'm not going to be high and mighty in regards to that. Like I just showed you Dan Bongino, and he said, yeah, I run commercials. And Barry runs commercials. The difference is I'm not beholden to anybody for what I say. I will not work with somebody who says, Barry, we really don't want you to say this. No, if I can't say it, don't come here. My show is my show. If you want to buy an ad, if you want to buy or want me to look at a product, number one, I got to use the product. Number two, you can't have any creative control. And if you just think past that perspective, not a single one of these artists that you see, they all live in gated communities. They all live with big walls where, walls suck. And the biggest hypocrisy that came out was that she lives on an Indian reserve. Not a reserve, but Indian land that she says all the land is stolen. So brave, so brave, so brave. It was lucky we had a couple ladies there who were not part of that club per se. And what I want you to do as I show this to you is look behind them. Look behind them and see how many people didn't stand up. For when Billie Eilish or whoever was saying this stuff, people, not everybody stood up. But the camera only panned down to people who were doing it because they had to show it. I want you to check out these ladies here.
Protesting, and our voices really do matter, and people matter, and fuck ICE is all I want to say.
I'm so edgy. I said fuck ICE. Oh my god.
See, her name is Emily Austin, and that's her mom. And she also this is the angle where you can see the people behind her.
Standing ovation for ICE out. I'm gonna sit down.
Notice how many people didn't stand up. See, if you don't have this perspective, they're making their own videos, which I'm sure they were pissed off. People were pissed off that they were making their own selfie videos right while the whole thing was happening. Because you're not supposed to see that there's nobody, people, they're not standing up. There's a few people, but the other people are sitting down. It's all a mirage. Because they're in show business. You're watching a show. There's not even, to tell you the truth, there's really no reason to get mad at some of these people because they may not even believe what the hell they're saying. Somebody paid them. Hey, listen, I just got a deposit for $1 million. Need you to go on stage and say F ICE. That's it? Yeah. Okay. If you notice when Billie Eilish, you probably didn't see it, but when she was talking, she didn't look very confident. Well, I don't really have anything to say but F ICE. If you didn't have anything to say, why are you saying it? Oh, it's funny. It's on right now, but I can't show it because YouTube would be mad. I mean, they would immediately shut it down. But I can show this. Check out her house.
Facing a conundrum of her own making. It turns out that her $3 million Los Angeles home is built on a Native American tribe's ancestral land. Stolen property, as you might call
it. And she doesn't care. She cashed the check. She said what she said, and it won't matter. Not at all. It's one big joke. By the way, here's the tribe.
It's made by Billie Eilish. As the first people of the greater Los Angeles basin, we do understand that her home is situated in our ancestral land. Eilish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding her property. We do value the insistence when public figures provide visibility to the true history of this country.
Oh, we were so bad. And so, like I said, I don't get mad at them because I understand what's going on behind the scenes. I know that most of them are probably getting paid. And the ones who aren't getting paid, they also realize my bank account is dependent upon me satisfying the nuts who buy my product, my albums. And there's a whole lot of nuts who don't realize I don't really give a crap about this, but yeah. Don't be upset because you think they're nuts. As I've said to you many times, and I'm probably one of the only people who ever say it to you, is Billie Eilish bought her first house, this $4 million house, when she was 17. Let that sink in. She bought another house recently for $14 million. And I've told you many times, as much as they scream on television or on a stage, they absolutely use conservative principles in doing and dealing in their own financial affairs. When I've said it because I knew it, because I saw it. And so many people, if you understand that right off the bat, that they're lying, that every single one of them have trust and nonprofits, and they don't give to anything really unless they can get a deduction or something associated with it. They're going to use everything possible. What? Tell me what? I'll say it. They're going to do everything possible to avoid paying taxes, not evade paying taxes. That is not something that I made up. That is something that you're taught. Hey, man, you need to do this. Why? You got too much money. You better go ahead and buy this property. Oh, okay. You're 17. You're making too much money. Get rid of it some. You might need to take the depreciation. Oh, okay. And the more you let that sink in, because not enough people are telling you about it, then you realize you're watching a show. I've said here many times on this show, the grand illusion. Step right in, see what's happening. Hit your ticket to the show. And as long as you realize that's what's going on, you don't take anything these people to heart. You just say to yourself, nah, they're all full of crap. And many people who have a microphone and lights and a camera are also full of crap. So you have to do your own discernment to understand at that point what you're seeing, for the most part, is a show. And what you're going to see this weekend is a show. And we'll talk more about that in a second. Let me take a profit break, as Rush used to say. I want to talk to you about today's sponsor of today's show. This sponsor is PDSdebt.com. You see, the system isn't broken. It's rigged. Big banks profit when you're desperate. Creditors win when you lose, but you don't have to play their game. PDS Debt helps you take back control. They've helped hundreds of thousands break free from credit cards, loans, and high-interest traps. It's your money, it's your future. Time to fight for both. PDS Debt goes beyond the numbers to understand your individual financial situation, and it shows you how you can craft a personalized plan designed just for you. There's no minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs. That would be in your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. That's amazing. It boasts thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. And right now would be the time to get out of debt because of everything that's going to be happening and the opportunity you're going to have out there. You know, if I needed this type of product, it's what I'd use. Now, I want to show you their page really quick. Let me just show you their page. Here is the PDS Debt page right there, and on this page it's got all kinds of information you can go through. You can see what's your unsecured debt amount. You can choose how much, less than 10, 10 to 30, 30 to 50, 50K, all these different debt scenarios, and you can go through it. Also, interestingly enough, they've got some debt calculators. So you can look on here and say, okay, here's a credit card debt calculator that'll walk you through different scenarios as to how you can lower your debt. And PDS Debt has customized options for anyone struggling with credit cards, personal loans, collections, or medical bills. Medical bills suck. PDS Debt understands your specific scenario and will help provide alternative solutions to becoming debt-free. You're just 30 seconds away from being debt-free. Get your free assessment and find the best option for you right now at pdsdebt.com/Barry. All right, so let me talk to you just a wee bit more about the Grammy stuff, and then we'll be done with this Grammy stuff. So as you know, President Trump, oh, what the heck just happened there? Are my buttons all screwed up again? Hold on. Man, if it ain't one thing, it's another, isn't it? I mean, good gosh. Wait 1 second. Anyway, President Trump yesterday said the Grammy Awards are the worst, virtually unwatchable. CBS is lucky not to have this garbage litter their airwaves any longer. The host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel. And then he went on to say, it looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of a master of ceremonies and others, how that all worked out. Also, ask CBS, get ready, Noah, I'm going to have some fun with you. I don't know if I'd want the president of the United States coming out and saying, I'm going to have some fun with you. So expect a lawsuit. So, oh boy, somebody here at the door. Here, let me start the show here with you, okay? Man, there's so many things happening today.
According to a local tribe out in California, she built her mansion on property that belongs to Native Americans. We talked to the Tongva tribe out in Southern Cal who says she's living on their property, saying this in part as the first people of the greater Los Angeles basin. We do understand that her home is situated on our ancestral land. Eilish hasn't contacted her tribe directly regarding her property. So back in 2020, comedian Ricky Gervais was ahead of this. He said, please do not get up here and use this stage as a platform for politics, saying in part, you're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. Now mocking Grammy winners because he said they're doing it again, saying they're still not listening. So celebrities had their pins on that said ice out at the Grammys, but DHS says while they were kind of complaining on stage, their team was arresting people in Minnesota, dozens of people who they say were in the country illegally, like sex offenders, child abusers, and criminals convicted of assault, according to DHS. And it's not the first time Billie Eilish has called out ICE, okay? She says that the agency is a terrorist organization and is called to defund the police, but it's the same police she called back in 2023 when investigators say someone broke into her California home. So we'll see.
You really can't make this stuff up, can you? She's got a wall around her house and she didn't want an illegal hanging out in her property. So now it's even worse for her because now she's got somebody from Australia who's got a GoFundMe page who it's a publicity stunt, but he's flying all the way over here to Los Angeles and he's going to go park and camp out at her house. So let's just say this. Let's just say the Grammys are over with. They're done with. If you still see them as being viable, then that's up to you. Many of you probably have moved on already, but it's a fake world and a fake industry, and it's bought and paid for over and over and over again. And these same people, and people wonder how these people protesting, it means nothing to them to assemble and bring 50, 60, 70 million dollars and hand it off to people running the streets. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get in trouble, but you've seen some of the people from the stuff that the Data Republican has already put out that are giving money for the sole purpose of turning America upside down. The anarchist, the communist, which is pretty funny because they're so well funded by capitalists. All those people, every single one of those people who are making tens of millions of dollars are nothing but phonies. And the people who are being manipulated, some of them don't realize that they're being manipulated by the same rich people you're against. How could these people possibly believe that what they stand for is supported by the people who are giving them money? See, that's the biggest conundrum with this entire thing. Eat the rich. Did you not turn on the Grammys? What do you mean, eat the rich? There's a whole buffet for you right there. But oh, not those rich. Everything we're seeing is fake. Everything that we're seeing is a complete lie. And I don't know why people don't understand that. It makes no sense at all. When I was doing some of the stuff in the music, I would see them behind the stage and I would promote them. And what would happen backstage that everybody thinks is this great place and magical place for you to get is they're puking, they're pooping, they're having sex, they're doing drugs, and then get back on the stage and smile. And the ones who didn't, the ones who, like Charlie Daniels, who early in his career was like that, and then changed after he found the Lord, they get shunned because nobody wants that light around them when they're doing the things that they're doing, when they're debasing themselves and others behind a stage. And so every ticket that people would buy, and I will be guilty because it was great money. Hey, so-and-so is going to be playing tonight. Yeah, pay me. Thank you. And then they were some of the worst people you'd ever want to meet. You wouldn't want them in your home. But then there are some that you're like, man, why aren't you like this on stage? I can't be. I've heard some of the stories I told you. And one of the things I was going to show you is a lot about what Nicki Minaj was saying. And then I was told, don't show it because she went raw. She went absolutely raw. So what I'm going to advise you, if you want to see any of the posts that Nicki Minaj put up, go ahead, just go directly to her profile, Nicki Minaj, and you'll be able to bring up so many posts that she made. She was like live tweeting during the Grammys, and she was calling people out for things, the sick things they did in their lives, stuff that nobody wants to talk about. Basically, it was the Hotel California come to life. I played that on one of my shows when we did a Rumble jump over. And it wasn't until years later that I started listening to that song in a completely different way, and a completely different mindset. And when you look, and now that you know what Nicki Minaj has said, think of it this way. Forget what Barry said or other people said. If you go through Nicki Minaj's thread and you look at the different things that she was saying, and then when you're done going through like 30 or 40 of her tweets, I want you to immediately then go ahead and click on Hotel California on YouTube and get the lyric video. You don't need to see the guy singing and playing. Get the lyric video and you'll sit there and go, oh my God, I've been listening to this song for 50 years and I never realized what they were saying. And I'm being very delicate here because I'm being careful with the sponsors and everybody else because I just got this thing turned on and I don't want it to turn off again. But just do that. Do it for your own edification, if nothing else. Not now, because we're doing a show right now. I don't want you to leave. But after the show, go through her thread and then sit back, take a deep breath, and turn on Hotel California, the lyrical version, where they put the lyrics on the screen. People do those videos all the time. And you're like, oh no. Now with what you know, now with what you've heard over the last 10 years, when they called this crazy, when they called this conspiratorial, when they booted certain people off of Twitter and Facebook, why is it that you had to boot us off when everything else is fake? If that 17th letter was fake, why was that the one thing you had to kick people off? Every movie, fake. It's made up, fake. But somehow when people started reading about that, they're like, oh, we can't have them do that. You got to go. It's all coming to a head. When I said people aren't ready, I maybe that's why my computer and everything else was messing up, because I told Rob, I got to go there. I got to go there because when people, and thank you, Grammys, for doing what you did. You showed me at this point, yeah, now might be the time. There's a whole lot of allegory and stuff that you can garner from that song. And as you do, maybe then you'll get the courage to read some of the other stuff that she said. Because she flat Flatline laid it out. And if I need to do a show on Rumble tonight and actually show these things, you guys tell me in the chat. If you want me to actually do that, because I know some of you guys aren't on X, should I do a short show tonight on X and say, okay, here's the song. I can play the song and I can show you the tweets and I can show you a few other songs as well. A few other songs that you probably heard and went, oh, now that makes sense. You guys know about a band called Linkin Park? You guys know the supposed alignment between the lead singer of that song, Chester Benfield, and somebody else? And there's a song he writes and spoke of that they don't play anymore. We're talking, and if you, I keep saying if you see it, if you had seen some of the stuff at the Grammys, we all, man, it's evil, it's satanic. Now, you don't even know satanic. Satanic's going to come at you where you least expect it. These overt things where they're wearing crazy outfits and saying things, that's one thing. It's when you're listening to a song that you've known for 50 years and singing as you're driving in the sun and your hair is blowing, and now you'll never listen to that song ever again the same way. Trust me. I love it. Love the guitars, love everything in it. But now I'm like, as soon as it comes on, I look over at Robin and she's like, you'll never hear it the same. So I wanted to take this show to basically be the time where I was going to tell you, bring it down a notch with these people. Understand that they do everything the same as you do, and everything you're seeing up there is nothing but an illusion. And if you do that, you'll take on a different perspective completely. Yeah, let me see what you guys are saying. Yes, Perry, do it tonight. Yep, it shows up. And it hits you. Oh yeah, and it hits you like a ton of bricks because you sang it. You've driven around singing, "Welcome to the Hotel California." You can check out. They stab it with the steely knives, but you can't. Look at my head. There it goes. You check in, but you can never leave. Linkin Park is on my playlist. Yeah, on Rumble. Yeah, okay. So some of you guys obviously aren't on X. Let's see here, and the whole other side will never tell you the truth. And you have to just wonder, why was it so important to shut us up? Hundreds and thousands of people just, and I know that's why, let me just tell you, that's my biggest reason for being pissed off at black pillars and panicans. Because they can do it and say what they want right now, but they weren't in the trenches years ago. They weren't the ones who got booted off because of what was said and what wasn't said. We know, or I shouldn't say that. We have a really good understanding of what, Epstein may have and may not have done. We've known it for quite some time. So please spare us. Oh, we're going to lose the midterms. Oh my God, the midterms suck. And, everything's going to be so bad because, Trump's not doing what he said he's going to do. Shut up. You don't even know what's coming up. You don't even know what's next. None of us do. None of us are privy to that plan. You think he doesn't know? Well, it's kind of easy to answer because he was the one that kicked the dude out of his building. Don't come back here no more. He was the one that people were coming to for money. He knows exactly what these people are. Yeah, tell me you're right, just like Trump. Yeah, and that's why I want to know what Nicki Minaj was saying. Okay, I'll do it tonight. I'll have to do it on a jump over because there's no way these people here would like it. Yes, everyone listen. Kid Rock is having an alternative show for halftime for real people. TPUSA is doing that. Good comment here. Problem is, it's not just Hollywood; it's everywhere. You're absolutely right. Let's see here. He didn't want nothing to do. He didn't want anything to do with him. It's funny because I bet you President Trump back then, when he was Don, He was making so much money. He was the king of New York. And he's like, what? Why would I need to do that, man? I'm good. You know, your clients, look at them. Look at, I don't get myself in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. Anyway, let's go on.
What she has to say about it now.
About that one.
I think it's a whole lot of word salad. I think it is a lawless and naked activism from the bench. It looks like we will be bringing this to the Supreme Court. We believe we will be vindicated. Dana, this is a program, temporary protected status, that is designed to be temporary. Haitians were given temporary protected status 15 years ago because of an earthquake. That shouldn't be happening. This can't be de facto amnesty in this program. That's not what it was designed to be. What the Trump administration, what President Trump and Secretary Noem are actually bringing integrity back into the system. And we also have to look at the vast amount of abuses that have happened under TPS.
So that was Tricia McLaughlin from DHS. And in segueing into this next segment here that I want to talk about is the judge who said that President Trump couldn't end temporary protected status of Haitians. The same Haitians that I hope it comes up in the hearing with Bill and Hillary, that they need to answer for what they did in Haiti. And perhaps maybe they can even get some Haitians to come and talk about what Bill and Hillary did. And if that's something you don't know, there's another brick in the wall. If you're not familiar with what the Clinton Foundation did in Haiti, that's a whole other Pandora's box that you might want to check out. You see, as I look at this as one giant cesspool that the lid is now opening on. There's no accident that President Trump went after the Haitian TPS, temporary protected status, because that's going to open a huge door come 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when Hillary and Bill have to come testify. Yeah, they're going to be asked questions about Epstein Island, but they're also going to be asked questions about Haiti. Was there a deal struck to say, bring all these Haitian people here because, well, we've done some really pretty bad stuff over there? How many of the missing kids are from Haiti? You see, when we hear 200 and 300,000, one of the things we don't hear is where they're from. There's been no breakdown that, there's 50,000 from Mexico, 80,000 from Haiti, 60,000 from Haiti, just 300,000, big number. How many of them are from Haiti? Living down here in South Florida, I have, a unique perspective. Robin and I have employed, we've been friends, we've done business with many people from Haiti. And we watched as the explosion happened and all these people showed up here. And then, Ron DeSantis has been doing a good job, but then they shipped them to all of our other areas of the country. And so President Trump decided it was time to end the temporary protective status, temporary being the most important word. And as you heard Tricia talk, a judge decided you can't do that. You can't end temporary protective services status. At which point the judge went into a complete dissertation in her answer or her opinion. And I always love that, how they always say what a judge says is an opinion. Because that's the least of a judge should not be giving, quote, an opinion unless it's an opinion specifically about this issue, meaning temporary protective services. Is a president allowed to end temporary protective status? That's it. That's it. Your opinion is based on a very simple, narrow, focused law. A law passed by Congress that was agreed to and in place even when Joe Biden was president. It is a law. Is the law constitutional? Is the law valid? Is the law in place? That's all that district court judge was supposed to render. Is the President of the United States allowed to end temporary protective status? That's it. But that's not what she did. She went into all kinds of moral reasons why it wouldn't be good. When you read that decision, it reads like Mr. Rogers wrote it instead of a judge. She quoted the Bible. She quoted her feelings and the moral aspect of kicking these people out of the country. Nobody asked you for that. Not one person said, Judge, can you give us your opinion on what you think Trump is doing to the country? No. You got a document that said, this is what we're suing for. Is this legal? And she gave all kinds of other things. Trump's an authoritarian. She actually said that. Trump is this, Trump is that. The Bible says we should do this. Now, many of us are Christians, but that has nothing to do with the four letters of what's written. And she didn't adjudicate anything based upon what the four corners of the law said. Her heart was broken. Trump's an authoritarian. It's not moral. And everybody that has any brain has looked at this thing and go, the Supreme Court again, because this is the same judge who already had the Supreme Court wipe their butt with something she said, and she just issued another thing, which they will summarily wipe their butts with. But I think even Trisha, and maybe she's not allowed to say it, the problem we are seeing is why the panicans and black pillars and the idiots, who I'll call them, are missing this entire thing. Why there's a methodical way for what President Trump is doing, even with the SAVE Act. Because you have to realize at this point, she knows they're going to wipe their butts with her decision. She knows she's going to be ridiculed and they're going to go throw this thing out. But she also knows that may not happen April, May. You see, everything these rogue judges are doing, from Bo Asperger and this woman, every single thing they're doing, they don't care that it's going to get thrown out eventually. The only thing that they're doing is playing a four corners offense. If you guys ever watched basketball back in the day when Dean Smith was the coach of North Carolina Tar Heels, he ran what was called the four corners offense. If they got something to lead, or if they were close, they just spread everybody out and they would spring the ball around until they decided, this is even before there was a game clock. And they would just do that. And then Princeton did it. And then the University of Providence, Rhode Island did it. And you could take a very subpar, inferior team and reduce an entire game down to about 2 minutes. This is before they did the 45-second clock and stuff. So you could just pass it around and make no attempt to go towards the basket. You could run off 6 or 7 minutes just passing it to this guy and that guy. Because the idea was to run out the clock. You see, in a 2-minute game, anything can happen and you might have a chance. If you're playing some behemoth of a team that's really good, you're not going to be able to run up and down the court with them all game long. They're going to be up by 30 points and you're done. But if I can get it down to 2 minutes, if I can get it down to right here, we might have a shot. We might have a chance. And God forbid we get a lead, because then we're going to go right back into four corners. We're just going to bleed the clock. It's time for you guys to start understanding. Don't get dismayed by these rogue judges. Be upset as to what the actual game is being played. They're trying to take everything they possibly can right up to October, November, where nothing has really happened. They're trying to stymie him. They're trying to keep him in a box, and so that they can run out the clock and maybe have to do a couple things in September, October. So it's not the fact that this judge or judges keep making stupid decisions. They know it. You have to know it. You can't get dismayed. Okay, they're probably going to throw it out of court. What's going to happen? Because everybody knows what the game plan is. And the only way to stop this game plan, if you're keeping in the back of your mind, we talked about this already, with if Tulsi Gabbard ends up finding that things were stolen and the votes, we can't undo that election. But again, that's not the objective. The objective is sometime, probably about August or September, for all the information to come out that these people are nothing but scumbags. You already know this. You have no doubt. But the public pressure, see, I have this maybe rose-colored glass view of things, is that most people, not all, most people are inherently good. Most people get up, they go to work, they work for 20, 30 years, they take care of their kids, their family, and they might even be Democrats, but they're not scumbags. Some of Robin's family, diehard Democrats. My family, diehard Democrats. But at the same time, they don't want to feel cheated. They don't want you to feel cheated. They're like, did they really do that? Did they? And as more stuff comes out, you're seeing some Democrats. I'm not talking about lefty loons. Democrats are starting to go, this isn't making much sense. They did this, they did that. I didn't know. I thought it was just the Republicans making noise. You see, the biggest weapon we have right now isn't the judges, isn't Trump's executive orders. The biggest weapon we have that many of you are not using is your power of disclosure. That's why they shut us up. That's why they kicked us off X. That's why they kicked us off Facebook. If people can't disclose, if they can't shine a light on what the hell is happening, then the good people will never find out. The good people in your neighborhood who watch CNN and MS Now and everything else, they don't know what's happening, but they will. And that's what you got to pick up your mantle and start doing your work. That's your soldiering that you have to do right now, because as this stuff comes out, people are not going to like it that people cheated. They're not going to want to hear that other people who they counted on cheated. You know, when I was playing ball, and I'm sure you know as well, I would have done anything to have XYZ team beat it. Anything except cheat. I'm not going to trip somebody. I'm not going to, basically hold somebody's hair. I'm not going to do that. If I can't beat you straight on, then I can't beat you. And nobody wants to be that person. I mean, you see it in games now. You see pass interference. You're doing whatever you can, but, if you get caught, everybody on the field and everybody on television looks at you like, damn, man, you did that? Think about how your neighbors who might be anti-Trump, but not full TDS, or they may be a little TDS because they don't realize, shit, they did what to kids? Yeah. Are you serious? Yeah. They cheated? Yeah. They stole votes? Yeah. I'm not down with that. Just keep disclosing. Just keep disclosing. Just keep disclosing. Make that a part of your daily activity and you'll see things change. Let me get going.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions about the zombie filibuster, what it means, and how we break it. First of all, let's talk about what the filibuster is. The filibuster has existed as long as the U.S. Senate has existed. The idea behind it is to allow for and encourage open debate. For the first 150 years of the Senate's existence, more or less, open-ended, unlimited debate was the norm, meaning as long as any one senator wanted to continue debating something before the Senate, that debate would continue. It wasn't until 1917 that the Senate adopted something known as the cloture rule, allowing for a supermajority of senators to vote to end debate, so that even if a few people wanted to continue, if that supermajority existed, you could shut down a debate early. Initially, that supermajority threshold was set at 3/4. A few decades later, they changed that to 2/3. A few decades after that, they changed it to 3/5. Where it stands today, that's where we get the number 60 votes to bring debate to a close. Over time, it's morphed into something it was never intended to be, and what the rules don't make it. It's turned into a de facto, what people perceive as a de facto 60 vote requirement to pass most legislation. That's kind of deceptive, even though there's some truth to it as a practical matter. In reality, it's often used these days, the filibuster, the cloture rule, that is, not to protect debate, but to make it unnecessary, to obviate the need for it. And that's kind of a problem. So the key to ending the zombie filibuster is to make senators speak, make them actually debate. Is right now they've got the benefit of the filibuster without actually having to filibuster, without having to speak. If we make...
So, in other words, what he's saying, that's Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee from Utah. You've seen some of these senators. You've seen what they look like. Somehow we got away from the point of, you want a filibuster, go for it. You know Mitch McConnell ain't getting up there. You know Susan Collins isn't getting up there. You know a bunch of these people, what's his name? Nadler, even though he's in the House. They're not going to be able to do a natural filibuster. That's why they made it easy on them. Look, we're going to pretend as a filibuster, and we'll take these votes that we know will never get passed, but we never actually do the filibuster. So when you hear people saying about let's nuke the filibuster, understand what they're saying. They already nuked it. We need to unnuke it. We need to make their asses stand up there for 12 or 14 hours. You got something to say? Say it. No food, no water, no pee break. Go for it. And now you start thinking to yourself, wait a second, I know this person can't. I know that person can't. And that's when you start realizing the filibuster was already nuked. So when John Thune gets up there and says, you know, go back to the regular filibuster, it's almost like torturing the Democrats. You want it? Go for it. And then see how long you can go. I mean, I got no doubt Spartacus, we've already seen what he can do. He'll talk for 20 hours. But Jeffries can't because he's in the House. So it's only the people in the Senate who would have to get up there and filibuster. And if you make it not do the zombie filibuster, but unnuke it and make them stand up there. Because once you go through, they're not going to do it. And so I think this was important for people to understand as Mike was explaining it. What exactly is the process? What are we doing here? And how did we even get here? Because I remember seeing these people stand up for days. But unfortunately, you voted in a bunch of octogenarians and a bunch of old people who ain't going to be able to stand up there.
Senators speak as a condition for filibustering, then we will dispense with the zombie filibuster. And there are some rules at play, including the two-speech rule under Rule 22 that says that as long as we're on the same legislative day discussing the same legislative proposal, no senator may speak more than twice on that topic during the same legislative day. The point behind ending the zombie filibuster is very simple. It's about exhaustion. You want to exhaust either physically or exhaust the right of debating members under the rules to continue debating beyond their ability, their right to speak at least twice on the same legislative matter on the same legislative day. When you get to that point of exhaustion, where somebody has either been physically exhausted or those wanting to debate have exhausted their right to do so under the Senate rules, you call the question on the pending legislation.
All right, so he's being kind of technical, but I just want you to think in your mind of seeing these people stand up there for hours at a time with no breaks. These feeble, And I'm not saying it because they are feeble, but you want to play the game, you better be in shape. It can get messy up there. I feel for some of these people who think they're not going to be able to do it. And at that point, you can break it. And so we're at a point now, I'm waiting to see what John Thune's doing. The House has already passed the vote to go in and undo the shutdown. Now it's got to go pass through the Senate. And this is what Mike is talking about. They may try to filibuster, but they want to do it the old way. And what many of these guys are trying to do is get them to break that rule and make them stand up there.
That legislation can then pass with a simple majority. That's what we mean when we talk about the need to reinstate the talking filibuster and no longer defer unflinchingly to the zombie filibuster, which is my word for what I describe as people filibustering without actually having to do anything. Thanks so much.
That would put an end to the partial shutdown. And President Trump remains optimistic that lawmakers will get the job done. Bill Malugin is live on Capitol Hill with the latest. Bill.
Hey, Kaylee, good morning to you. If everything goes according to plan here on the Hill today, this partial government shutdown should be over by some point later today. Now, a large part of that reason is President Trump decided to get involved. He urged a handful of House Republicans to drop their demand to attach the GOP voter ID law known as the SAVE Act to this package of government spending bills. Speaker Johnson says now just isn't the time for that.
We all want the SAVE Act, but we also look at the reality of the numbers here, and we passed the SAVE Act twice in the House. We'll pass it again. We'll do that, but this is a funding package right now, and I don't think we need to be playing games with government funding.
So here's where
I didn't really like what he said there. We're playing games. This ain't no game. We want to get these illegals out of here. We want to get voter ID. So when I heard Mike Johnson say that, that made me realize there must be something else in play. They must feel very confident of doing the SAVE Act on a standalone, not tying it to the appropriations, not tying it to spending, which a lot of people on the right think that's a compromise, that they're not tying it to spending. However, once the government is open, then they can do something different. See, right now, and here's where it's really important. The House already passed the appropriations. You got that part? All right, so they already passed it. It is now going to the Senate to get them to pass it. They can't change so much as a period or cross a T that's uncrossed without it having to go back to the House. So if they try to attach the SAVE Act to this, there's nothing. It's dead in the water. And immediately it has to go back to the House where there's 400 people who have to debate on it. A lot of people, including some people on the right, aren't understanding. You can't change what's already been passed. They've already passed this part. That's why he's saying playing games. Pass what we passed, pass what we gave you, which is this box here. Don't try poking in the box and changing things around, because if you do that, then it's got to kick all the way back to the House, and we could be talking quite some time. Because right now we're talking about 100 versus 400. You get that part? That's really important. I wish he had said that. I wish he had said, we can't take the chance of them screwing up this and then kicking it back. We'll start over with the SAVE Act when we get there.
Stand right now. If Republicans can pass a procedural vote today, they can bring this package of 5 government spending bills to the House floor where it would be expected to pass even with some Democratic votes. Now, that would then end the shutdown today once it got to President Trump's desk. But it wouldn't end the fight over DHS funding, which has to be figured out in the next 10 days. And Democrats are digging in their heels over ICE.
And I refuse to fund such a lawless, out-of-control agency. I will not vote for business as usual while mass agents break into people's homes without a judicial warrant in violation of the Fourth Amendment.
And Republicans say they are ready to have that fight.
To be clear, I'm going to be fighting like hell to ensure that we've got the resources necessary for the men and women of Border Patrol, ICE, and the other people at Homeland Security.
3 weeks.
All right, so understand this. You can't even have that fight. There's no fight for you to have right now because you've already approved the appropriations bill. The appropriation bill now goes to the Senate. The only way you could even get in this fight is if they kick it back. And John Thune and Mike Johnson and President Trump have said now, don't kick it back. Let's pass this. Let's get our funding. Let's get our money. Then we'll attack the SAVE Act. And I want to make sure people understand the difference there and realize that's exactly what's going on. My God, don't let the commies win this. No, not yet. Let's not worry about that yet. I don't think the Republicans do a good enough job of, what would be the word, explaining things to people. And then there's too many people out there who talk crap and make it seem a certain way when it's really not that way. That's where it gets problematic. So ICE is picking up newcomers who have no power over our laws. Yeah, they are. Love some Chip Roy. Yeah, Chip's ready to fight. Thune and Johnson need to go. Remember, this isn't a football game. As much as I allude to football, it's not like watching a bad head coach and saying we need to fire this or them. The problem is, even with people on our team, we don't know the game plan. And no one's going to tell us. They're not going to come out and say, well, here's our idea. What we're going to do is this. We're going to do. No, they're not telling us. One of the things you can take some serious credence in is in the fact that nothing gets leaked with these people. Nothing. So it's hard even for the news people. It's hard for us because we are actually watching what's playing out. And then we've got different people trying to give opinions instead of just saying, let's just analyze and look at exactly what's happening. Not what I want to happen, not what should happen, what's happening. And if people start focusing that way and go, okay, right now they're taking a vote on this, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to do this. And then President Trump says, when we get that done, then we're going to go do this. Just focus on that. And it's like sitting in the stadium going, man, they need to run that pass over there because that's what's going to work. Well, you don't have the coaches that chart that they all walk around in, and they're talking on 3 walkie-talkies like, yeah, I mean, yeah, good. And it's got all those colors. You don't got one of those. So you don't know that he's running this play here to get to this play. And you need to see on film what happens when we do this, because now, hey, what did he do? Well, on that last play, he bailed off to the left and he followed the safety. Okay, let's run it again. And let's see what he does. Oh, he did it again. All right, set it up for the third quarter. We're going to run this play. And there's a means to what they're doing, whether everybody else is like, why aren't they doing this? That's what I think from a political standpoint we need to get away from. And I guess Heather is saying it best here. I know we've heard it so damn long. Trust the process. And I think what the problem is we don't have a choice. That's where it becomes problematic, is for people to take a big old dose of shut the F up. Talk about what we can talk about, and the rest of it, leave it up to them. We're not there. We aren't the ones calling the shots. We aren't the ones drawing out the strategy. None of us knows what he's got planned with Iran. Damn, we don't even know what the hell he talked about with the president of Colombia today. And if people knew, it'd be on TV. Nobody knows. What the hell was the president of Colombia doing at the White House today? You know? Nobody tell you? No. You know? Nope, you don't know? Well, I think he's doing this. You're lying. We already know you don't know. In another way of saying it, and why I stayed pretty much as like Switzerland with this whole thing, is the Dan Bongino stuff that everybody freaked out about. And some people have called Dan Bongino every name in the book. And he failed, and he lied, and he did this, and he did that. And I just stayed ambivalent because I don't know. I don't know if he quit. I don't know if he got fired. I don't know if there's another plan for him. The same way, I don't know what's going on with General Flynn. So I stay quiet. I don't know. What I do know, and what you guys all should know at this point, is we're watching a masterful game being played, a movie in front of us. And each one of us is trying to figure this thing out, but we don't have anything to base it on because nobody has seen anybody like this president ever. And I'm enjoying it because it just keeps changing. As recent as today, every day you got to sit back and say to yourself, what exactly is going on? Why is the president of Colombia there? Why is Tulsi Gabbard in Fulton County? What is this? Why is Stephen Miller quiet? What is Steve Witkoff and Jared doing in Iran? Nobody knows what's going on with Putin and Zelensky. Where's Maduro? Is he ever going to make an appointment? I mean, what do you call it? An arraignment? What? We don't know. And I think that's probably the most uncomfortable position for people to be in and get used to, is just deal with what you got. Because we just don't know. And I don't think we're going to know. Hey, let me tell you guys about another sponsor we have today, and it would be Qualia Stem Cell. Not those kind of stem cells. Can you remember a moment when your body just didn't heal like it used to? Maybe like yesterday? Maybe after getting sick or pushing yourself physically? I hope you're still pushing yourself physically. What went through your mind when you still had pain like 3 days later? What's one thing you've noticed about your body changing as you've gotten older? Think about it to yourself. What have you noticed different about your body changing as you've gotten older? How has that affected your approach to health, recovery, and diet? It turns out that the secret to healing, recovery, and resilience isn't just luck, it's stem cells. These are your body's built-in repair crew. But as we age, that system slows down. Fewer cells, weaker signals. Happens. We just get older. This is exactly why Qualia Stem Cell was created. Your cells are powerful. Make sure they stay that way with Qualia's innovative new stem cell formula. I talked to you guys a lot about different supplements. And I don't know if you guys, let me give you a little background on myself. I mean, you know about me, I play football and everything, but I'm 65 and I love what I do here. I love doing the real estate, and it takes me so much time to do everything. Last night with this system going down, thank God, and not trying to figure it out, I worked, no BS, a 16-hour day. I started at 7:30, 8 o'clock yesterday morning, and I didn't go to bed after I kissed Robin, take the dogs out, and I just went right back into the computer. Some of you guys saw it. We were running tests last night, late last night, trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and then I was up this morning at 6:30, testing again. So you don't have to accept slowing down. It's not even in my bloodstream. I will not accept slowing down. Help your body renew itself by reactivating the systems that keep you moving, healing, and thriving with Qualia's stem cell formula. You only need to take it 4 days a month. It preserves your body's regenerative capacity over time. So if you're ever felt like your body just doesn't bounce back like it used to, whether it's after a tough workout, your computer going haywire, or anything, getting sick, it's been cold, or just the wear and tear of everyday life, this is for you. Qualia Stem Cell was designed to support your body's natural repair systems, helping you heal, recover, and keep going strong. And right now, you can try it for up to 50% off at qualialife.com/Barry. And here's a bonus. Use the code Barry for an additional 15% off as well. Go to qualialife.com/Barry. Your body's built to repair itself. Qualia just helps you do it that much better. And a big thanks to Qualia for sponsoring this episode. I'm going to grab something to drink. I'll be back in 90 seconds.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
There has been a lot of news under the surface about the SAVE Act. This is a bill to safeguard our elections and require proof of U.S. citizenship before voting, among other provisions. Now, our conversation on this started with Scott Pressler, who has been calling on Senate Majority Leader John Thune to allow a vote every day since January 1st. Earlier this month, Scott joined me here to make his case.
The American people demand Senate Majority Leader John Thune bring a vote on the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, and let's have proof of citizenship to register to vote. We have this one moment in history with Donald Trump at the helm with a trifecta Republican government. I say nuke the gosh darn filibuster, pass law after law after law.
That interview went viral and senators went into action. Senator John Cornyn said he spoke to Leader Thune about the SAVE Act. Senators Katie Britt and Dave McCormick signed on as co-sponsors, and several others like Rick Scott ramped up his support publicly. Here's Senator Scott last week.
However we do this, all right, whether it's part of the spending bill this week, whether it's a separate bill, whether we have to stay there, and do a standing filibuster, whatever it's going to take, we got to get this passed. We've got to secure our elections. I can't imagine a Republican senator that would vote against, making sure that you have to have proof of citizenship to register to vote and to vote. Now, how could anybody? I don't know how a Democrat could be against this.
Yeah. After that interview came an avalanche of support for the SAVE Act. You see it here. The tally now sits at 49 co-sponsors, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune said this week he will allow a vote.
They are still modifying the bill. It includes right now a requirement that you be a citizen to register to vote, but it doesn't include a requirement that to vote you be a resident. That's being fixed and addressed, and I think the new bill that comes out hopefully will deal with that. But at some point we'll have that vote.
Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, who's a co-sponsor, joins me now. Senator Blackburn, as we look at this, I believe there are either 4 or 5 Republican holdouts, and I'm curious, what's the holdup for some of your Republican colleagues?
Well, I never speak for my colleagues, Kaylee, but I will tell you this. It is important that people be a citizen, that they show proof of citizenship to register and to vote. And in Tennessee, we have been ranked #1 when it comes to safe elections. And we are so proud of our Secretary of State, Trey Hargett, and his team that have been able to put us in that #1 election integrity spot. And when you go to vote in Tennessee, you have to show who you are. These records have to match up. Every state should be certain that only citizens are voting in their elections.
Senator Blackburn, your colleague, Senator Scott, I asked him about eliminating the filibuster because we know that there will be 60 votes that are going to be needed for this, and there are only 54 Republicans. Right. He said that he would be open to maybe a carve out for specific legislation, maybe attaching it to a spending bill, something, because this is that important. Where do you stand?
And one of the things that we have discussed, and Rick Scott, Senator Scott, leads our conservative group, our steering committee in the Senate. And we have talked about maybe we use it for the appropriations bill so you don't get into these shutdown fights. Maybe we review the 1974 Budget Act so that we go about appropriating differently. But here is the point. What you want to do is remove the ability of the Democrats to eliminate a filibuster and run roughshod, be able to pack the Supreme Court, be able to add D.C. and Puerto Rico and Guam as states, making certain that we preserve the integrity of our nation's elections and that we don't federalize elections, but it is your state and your local election commissions that are still going to be in charge of these. This is all about preserving who we are and what we are as a country, and that premise of one person, one vote.
Yeah, and James,
that's what you just heard is why I've asked Ashley not to bring on as many politicians anymore, because it all sounds nice and flowery, But unless you ask the questions that I'm trying to move forward on something here, unless you ask the right questions, these people aren't going to answer it. And we are in January of 2026, and they are just now bringing up this entire concept of stopping the filibuster. Why? Because the Democrats might do this, and do this. I never want to go into any situation where I'm reacting to what somebody else is doing. When I'm the one that I feel should be dictating to the other side, whether it's in sports or business, I want to dictate to you how this is going to be, not let them dictate to me. And I definitely don't want to act from a position of fear. I don't want anybody saying to me, well, we might want to do this because if they do this, and they're going to do this and they're going to pack the court and they're going to add other states. No, that should be your motivation. You should be doing everything you can because you already have that knowledge. If you know this is what your opponent's going to do, then by damn, you need to make sure that you beat them now. The problem we're having right now is there's just too many people on the take. There's too many people who've gotten fat and happy, and too many people think that it won't come for them. Meanwhile, many of us are sitting back here and we know what they're going to do. Why? Because they tell us. And they've been telling us. And they're still making these people react out of fear instead of taking the bull by the horns and saying, let's shove it down their throat. That's the problem with Republicans, is because they're not MAGA, because everybody in this chat and everybody who's a MAGA person would be like, oh, we're just going to just run over them. Why are you still playing nice? Why are you still trying to convince us, oh, we got to do something? Well, go frickin' do it. You don't need to be on television trying to tell us what needs to happen. You need to be executing. You need to be in that room where all you people are and rallying your other teammates and saying, hey, guys, we need to ram this down their throats. I don't understand it. It makes me kvetch. I just like, it's crazy. Stop acting out of fear and act out of the position that you're in. And I'm thinking one of the reasons why they don't is because it's one big giant cauldron. I'm going to show you a story, in a little bit about Alana Presley, who now it's all coming out about her. So we know about AOC and we've known about Ilhan Omar. And now it's like, oh, you tell me not another one? Because you're all like that, because they learned from you. They learned the game. Meanwhile, there's so much data available that is telling you, ram it down their throat. Check this out.
With Nicki Minaj, because what are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able.
It's not agreeing with Nicki Minaj. We all feel this way. And I don't put too much credence into polls, as you know. The only reason I'm showing this one to you is because this is a left-leaning poll showing you got to have voter ID. It's not about agreeing with Nicki Minaj. This is common frickin' sense. Yeah, I mean, Ashley and the kids are coming down here in 2 weeks, and every single kid, and you got to have ID. You got to have all your documents before you even get on a frickin' plane. You got to have all your documents to go, if you're going to go inside a liquor store, if you're going to go here or there. I want to show you something about having a ID, because this thing just cracked me up. You're going to laugh your ass off at this one if you've never seen it.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so like we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. Like, that's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, an ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy camera?
I know, right?
That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people...
You know, this is funny, but at the same token, it's kind of sad. It's so insulting. It's so insulting. When the guy from CNN says 80% of people want voter ID, the Democrats keep saying how it's voter suppression. And I've been black for a while, and my family's been black for a while, and my grandmother was black, and as far as I could trace back, they were all black, and they all had IDs. Somehow we were able to push the rock away and head to someplace and get an ID. It's amazing. I cannot believe we overcame the way we did, that we became such advanced people, that we knew how to get friggin' IDs. But then you turn on the television, oh, people don't have IDs, it's voter suppression. What are you talking about? Go outside your studio or you're in Washington, D.C. and walk down the street and ask any black person you see, you got an ID? They may not want to show it to you, but they definitely got an ID. The whole ID thing is crazy.
People can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Would you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that...
And what's funny about this, if you haven't been to New York City, they all know how to get to the DMV, but it's probably the least driving city I know. I don't even know why you have a driver's license if you live in New York, but they got them, and they know where the place is. So, again, this is something that the Democrats have cooked up and have been relying on it for years and years and years. You think it's bad now? You wait till September and October. Oh, ID. You don't need ID. This is horrible. Black people don't know how to get IDs. Oh, it's horrible, you white supremacists. You don't want the black people to vote. Shut up, jeez.
Black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually
unlimited.
Unlimited data.
Mm-hmm. I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's what my thought process was.
I just think that's ignorant. Ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I'm hearing a lot.
Ignorant.
Ignorant.
It's very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because, you know, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
It's more stupidity. It's completely stupid. It's insulting. It's racist. It's stupid. All the above. But this is what we're dealing with now. And for some reason, the media, well, even the right-wing media, if there is such a thing, I'm not sure what you call Fox these days. They don't make any sense to me at all. But nobody just challenges people and says, you know, if Hakeem Jeffries gets out there talking about how, you know, people can't get IDs, just say, why are you lying? Why are you making stuff up? Call them on it. What, are you afraid they're going to kick you out of the hall? They're not going to let you do any more interviews? Come on. It doesn't make any sense.
Judging somebody, like, what, you judging them because they black, saying that they don't got it?
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Are you
Love showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, could we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote? You cool with that?
What about by party? What's the party breakdown? Yeah, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it. But not really here. I mean, just take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote. So again,
So when they're actually out on the street or doing interviews and they say things like President Trump is trying to destroy our democracy, they understand that the overwhelming majority of people in this country, by their own left-wing media, is saying, yeah, people are fine with it. In fact, more than fine, they overwhelmingly want it, including your own party. So I guess 71 and 95% of the people in America are open to the democracy being destroyed. That's how idiotic this is. And that's why I wanted to include this in today's show, is because you obviously know, because you don't have a problem with getting an ID, you have a life. But now you can be rest assured, if it, not because of CNN's poll, but because it's on CNN. For CNN to show these kind of numbers, it's probably 100% of Republicans, and it's probably 85% of Democrats. You see the gap in the Democrat Party there, that 71, that 29% gap, those are the Looney Tunes. Those are the complete crazy people running around Minneapolis. That's the only people in this country. That little small sliver of people who probably can't write their name or spell their name are the ones who don't want ID. That's it. That's it. And that's who they've sold out to.
and Nicki Minaj posting that on X. And what you see is that the American people, actually, it's not really all that controversial. The American people are with Nicki Minaj, whether they are Republican or even if they are Democrats. We're talking about 7 in 10 Democrats agreeing with Nicki Minaj that you, in fact, should show a voter ID to vote.
What's the racial breakdown?
Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans.
Can't deny these numbers. Now when you have such an overwhelming amount, 85 white, 82 Latino, 76% black, you can't get 8 out of 10 black people to agree on music. And you're saying almost 8 out of 10 black people say, yeah, we want voter ID. That what you're seeing right now is what the Republicans need to be doing. I wish I was involved in their PR or something where I could say, you guys seen this, right? It's a no-lose item. You go ahead and pass the SAVE Act, it should be every single Republican voting for it. Now, I understand the problem here. The problem is currently you need those 60 votes. That's why you have to break the filibuster, because that 10 vote difference is part of that nut job segment of the population who they have sold out to, that nut job population.
Americans' favorite. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. Today, I want.
Now, I don't know where they got this whole Nicki Minaj thing, because, I mean, yeah, great. I'm happy Nicki Minaj is with President Trump. This has been something, dude, we've all felt. It's not nothing new. It's not a big thing because Nicki Minaj says it's. We've all said it. Did she Was she responsible for some of that 76% of black people? Maybe. But you just saw the other man on the street thing as yeah, why not? There's no downside. There's no downside for people getting their ID checked when they vote, except, of course, if you're cheating. So that goes back to what I was saying, is let this disclosure happen. Let all this stuff about Fulton County and different states, let this stuff come out. Because if those numbers are what you just saw they are, if nobody has a problem, I mean, this many people have a problem. If most of America has no problem with voter ID, they're going to be pissed off when they find out what happened in Fulton County. When they find out for sure, when Tulsi brings it out and she says, here's what's happening, here's the evidence, go lock this person up, go do this, whatever we got to do. Nope, we can't overturn 2020, but we can damn sure make sure that every single person in this country now knows they stole it. And that's going to piss off those numbers that you just saw, I think, tie directly into Fulton County in October. If we're at a point where 71 and 85 were the overall numbers are just now, what do you think will happen when people find out what happened in 2020? When people find out they were duped, cheated? What do you, like I said, good people don't know yet. Good people are shielded. Even good Democrats. There are some out there. They don't make as much noise as the liberal nuts, but that number is going to balloon to a point where it's insurmountable. We can't lose the midterms. Can't. They know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. If we check IDs, they lose. Period. Done. End of story. Done. Let's listen to this other stat he has, which some people will look and say, this is good, and some people will say, nah, this ain't that good.
Take a look at some long-term population trends that really should set off a flashing red siren to Democrats nationwide while bringing a big smile to the faces of Republicans nationwide. Why do I say that? Because take a look at the big population gainers versus the last census back in 2020. According to the latest population estimates that take into account the population mid-2025, look at this. The biggest population growth this decade? All 5 of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers. The biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census. Now, it's not just a red state boom. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at a red state boom here. But it is not just a red state boom. We're also looking at what I would dare call a blue state depression. Because who are the people? Who and where are the people moving from into the red states? Well, they're blue states. They're blue states. Take a look here. The lowest domestic.
All right. So some people will look at this and say, oh, it's fantastic. Now other people look at it and go, don't bring your shit here. Don't bring your crazy ideology. Don't bring your hey, they're taxing me too much in New York and they're taxing me too much in California. I'm going to go down to Florida where I can keep my money, but I still have my stupid ideology. That's the one thing we have to guard against, because they're fleeing hell. They are fleeing everything that they see. I bet you can add a sixth state to that real soon. You're going to be able to add Virginia to that list. The people in Virginia are going to get the hell out of Virginia. You're fleeing what you voted for. You're fleeing what you caused. You're fleeing the poison and virus that you enacted in those states, and you're fleeing to the red states because of your money. Understand that chart he's showing to you is not an ideology chart. That is a hypocrisy chart. You see, when you look at this and you look at it that way, you're like, hey, they're all getting out. Well, they're getting out because of capitalism. number one, for the most part, those are the only people who can get out. You got to have the money. You have to have the money to be able to get out of these blue states. So we're talking about people with money. Number two, the only reason they're leaving is money, and maybe crime. I don't see Minnesota up there. It's money. So at the same time these people are talking their anti-capitalistic crap, most of the people in their state are going, I need to get the hell out of here. But then your money is more important to you than your other values. You don't care if they're ripping babies out of people's wombs. You don't care about that. Just don't take my money. So somehow we've got to convince these people coming from other states who are leaving because of what they voted for, that those issues that they have been kitchen top issues for Democrats no longer matter. If you're moving, if you're uprooting your family, taking little Johnny and Susie out of school because you don't like what's going on in the blue state, maybe your values should be a little bit higher than money. Maybe you should say the reason I'm leaving here is because, yeah, that stuff doesn't work, and my money. I don't want to be taxed out the wazoo by Mamdani and this crazy chick in Virginia. So I'm willing to leave to go to a better place, but I still think people should be, transformers. I still think people should be able to rip their babies out. No, keep that shit in your blue states as well.
Net migration this decade. All 5 of the states that were won by Kamala Harris in 2024. Look at this. California, Harris's home state. New York, where I'm coming from right now, of course. Illinois, New Jersey, and of course the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is a bastion of blue liberalism. These are the states that folks in the United States are moving away from and into the red states, which is propelling a red state boom. Now, this is interesting, right? But it could also have major political ramifications if it holds for 2030, the next census. Because take a look here. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for the 2030 census, look at this. Look at the House seat shifts by state. Remember, of course, we apportion the number of House seats depending on the population in each state. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for 2030, states that Kamala Harris won, they would lose. They would lose 7 seats in the United States.
All right, so what I want you to add to that, that's just with migration. That's the only thing he's talking about right there is migration, getting the hell out of the blue states. Now add in the variable of having to show voter ID. And you can see, which is why I don't know why the panicans are panicking, they can't win. They can't possibly win. I think the Democrats know, like I keep telling you. Look at the facial aspect. Listen to what they're saying. Look how they're reacting. They're going nuts. They are absolutely going nuts because they're cornered animals at this point. And this thing holds true, and you add voter ID to it, good luck.
It's House of Representatives. The states that Donald Trump won in 2024, they would gain 7 seats. Now, this isn't just about the House of Representatives, right? It's also about the Electoral College, because the number of electoral votes that each state gets is equal to the number of senators. Each state, of course, has 2, plus the number of House seats that they have. So what would this mean for the House of Representatives? Well, if you remember back in 2024, right, it was all about, we were talking about the blue wall. If Kamala Harris could win the baseline Democratic states and then add in the blue wall states of Michigan, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, she would get to 270 electoral votes. But if all of a sudden we, in fact, have applying the 2025 estimates, the population estimates, to the Electoral College, the blue states plus the blue wall of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin would no longer be enough. Under the current estimates, you get to exactly 270 electoral votes, the minimum needed to win the Electoral College. If, in fact, you apply the 2025 estimates, look at that. You would only get to 263 electoral votes if you were a Democrat, which would mean a Republican victory. Now,
and that's his numbers. That's a left-leaning pollster. They can't win. And that's without knowing everything that's about to happen. That's with us not knowing. That's with voters not knowing everything. Put it this way. It's with them not knowing everything that's about to drop, and it's with them not knowing all the good stuff that's coming. We got 2 years before 2028. We had almost a year for 2026, and already they're failing. And the best part about this is there's no recovery available. There's nothing they can do to recover this. The only way that they could possibly do that is by somehow reenacting more cheating. That's the problem they're going to have.
Of course, we're still a number of years away from reapportionment, right? We take the census come 2030. But what we can say so far is we got a red state boom going on, a blue state depression going on, people moving from the blue states to the red states. And if it holds for 2030, well, it would make the Democratic nominee for president's job of winning the Electoral College that much more difficult.
And not difficult, not possible. So I look at this data and I see these things and I try to get an idea as to exactly what people are thinking when they're completely panicking. Because the smart people look at this and say, there's no way they can do it. And I understand Ashley's trying to get a hold of Chad Bianco, the sheriff out there, but it would be awesome if we can get him on. But I understand that the 2 top candidates for governor out there are both Republicans. Can you even imagine? Can you even fathom if California went red, which inevitably it would if they're the 2 of them that could actually get at top there. I just saw this video by Chuck Schumer. It's only like 22 seconds long. And I want to put this in here into the mix because it's very interesting how, again, that contrast of how people are looking at things. Here, look at, where would I go here? Let me put it here. Because I've got couple more to show you. Don't go anywhere. I told you I had a whole bunch of content from yesterday. I'm just trying to get through it all. All right, so let's listen to Chucky boy here.
What do you say to Mike Lee's argument that the Senate rules allow the majority to require the minority to stage a talking filibuster to stop the SAVE Act?
We've got to get this done, and we've got to get it done very quickly. The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are going to do everything we can to stop it.
Jim Crow. It's racist. It's black people can't read. They can't get ID. This is what they're going to hang their hat on. The SAVE Act is an abomination. It is Jim Crow 2.0. How, forget the racist part, how insulting is that to tell a black person with a mind in 2026 that this legislation gonna put you all back in chains? It's an abomination. It's gonna take you back to Jim Crow. yeah, all right.
And so I'm not talking about all people that voted for Donald Trump. We see the polls. There's some people who actually understand the dangers. But here, David French, again, this is built upon this stupid lie. And it's not even a smart, this is a stupid lie that the 2020 elections were stolen.
Well, then you know what? Why are you worried? See, this is one of the things I don't understand with Chucky and some of these people in the media. If Trump is spinning his wheels, if Tulsi is just out there biding her time in Fulton County, walking around looking at boxes, what's it to you? Why would you even worry about it? Why would you even talk about it? It's silly. It's a lie. There's nothing to it. Everybody knows that 2020 was perfect. It was perfect. Then what are you worried about? What possibly could Democrats be so complaining about taking a look at, I don't know, Fulton County? There's nothing there, right? Or is there? Because if there was nothing there, I'm like, here, look, I got nothing to hide. Nah, I'm not worried about it. We're idiots. Yep, we're. Oh, by the way, how come you don't feel that way about the Epstein files? You see, it's kind of interesting how, it's crazy, it's nothing there. And then you guys all heard about the women, right? All the women. Did you guys see this? Okay. Lawyers for more than 200 Epstein victims are pushing federal judges to order the DOJ to remove the Epstein files from public view. These same voices spent the last year demanding disclosure and accusing President Trump of stalling. Now the DOJ ultimately released the documents with required redactions, with Trump exonerated and damaging details now pointing towards Democrat power brokers. The pressure has abruptly flipped back to secrecy. All these women who couldn't wait to have this stuff released are now suing and saying, hey, we didn't mean those files. No, those aren't the ones we're talking about. We're just talking about the ones with Trump. Just those. Ixnay. Which I've said many times, if you really cared about the women, if the ones who are shown here, you know what I mean, when they came out for that press conference, if these right there, those who were shown really cared, you could screw your NDA. I don't care. I'm naming names. Here we are in February of 2026, and they still haven't named any names. No names, huh? And now you want them to close the box. Close the box really quickly.
63 federal judges threw out 63 of Donald Trump's stupid claims that the 2020 election was stolen, including the Supreme Court, including Thomas and Alito. All of them threw it out, said it was stupid. You had Donald Trump's own administration and the person in charge of elections saying it was the safest, it was the fairest, cleanest election in the history of our constitutional republic. So
if that's the case, what are you worried about? You protest too much. I don't understand how you can say that if you believe it and have any concern. See, that's the problem they're having. Now they're trying to, tell people, oh, it was fine, everything, there's nothing to see here. 63 judges said it was no good. But you don't explain to the people who those 63 judges were and that they were looking at somebody else suing and they said they didn't have standing. That's what they were saying. They didn't have standing. And now you have a grand jury, not a couple guys like Rudy or Sidney Powell or anybody else suing. You have a grand jury who opened up a criminal investigation on it. So obviously, all those other cases, they got thrown out of court by your own words, correctly? Yeah, they got thrown out of court, meaning nobody reviewed anything. It was terminated, thrown out of court. You don't have standing. Nah, I don't even want to look at it. Nope. So you're leaving that part out. Now compare it to what's happening right now. A grand jury was impaneled. A grand jury got to see some things, and a grand jury has said, yeah, I think you got something. Why not explain it to your audience that way, Joe? The same way you explained to everybody how Biden he was sharp as a tack. He's the sharpest president. Your credibility is done. What you say don't mean anything no more. Your big lie was you saying that Biden was sharp as a tack. Now you just sound like the boy crying wolf and that little David French guy who's, part of the same camaraderie that you guys run in. He just makes shit up too. Because you're afraid.
Aren't even good lies. These aren't even doesn't even make us do any work. It's right in front of our faces. And now he's basically saying, you got Pam Bondi in Minnesota saying, yeah, we'll stop terrorizing your state if you turn over all your voting files. That's in Minnesota. And now in Georgia, Tulsi Gabbard is now in charge of seizing voters' files in Georgia. That is so unconstitutional.
See, anybody can say, so unconstitutional. State it. Tell us how. Tell us how a duly authorized person in the government, how it's unconstitutional. But he can't get over the hurdle, and I hope you understand it. He can't get over the hurdle of what the hell are you worried about? You're a talk show host. You got nothing to do with this. You're just complaining. I don't know. I don't know what she'll find. I don't know if she'll find anything. But what I do know is a grand jury told her to go look. Notice the words grand jury have not come up.
States run elections, not presidents who are scared their party's going to lose. And it's not an overstatement at all to say that this looks like what autocratic regimes do. This looks like what Orban does. This looks like what Putin does. This looks like what all the worst of the worst across the world do. And right now, it's happening again in Georgia.
So let that play, and you, as you heard, the words grand jury were never mentioned. It gives you something when you're talking to people and they say, they're doing it, it's already been debunked and this and blah, blah, blah. Well, Susie, yeah. Was there a grand jury impaneled before? And then as soon as you say that to them, step back because you're going to get this. Did a grand jury issue a subpoena? Because they've never heard it. See, this is the problem with the left media. They will never have heard that a subpoena is in place. They will not know that a grand jury opened up down here in Florida said, yeah, go look. And because they're not getting all the information, yeah, they're going to say the same talking points. Oh, it's been debunked. 65 judges threw it out. Yeah. But were there any grand juries involved? Huh? Were there any grand juries involved in, what happened in 2020 before? They don't even know what a grand jury is. Now you got them. I want to show you this here by Mark Warner. Mark Warner, who is basically the lead Democrat right now, who's crying the most about Tulsi Gabbard. He had this to say just a little while ago.
I remember back, a year ago at this time when people would often ask me when they were seeing the actions of the Trump administration, do you think we'll have free and fair elections in 26 or in 28? And my response at that point was, I think you're overreacting. I have deep concerns about the fairness of our elections in 26 and 28 right now. I have concerns about the elections in primaries in our country. I have concerns about the elections that may take place in Virginia in terms of a redistricting referendum. These kind of actions that have taken place over the last year, as we've seen the systemic dismantling of the very protections that were put in place by, again, the first Trump administration. If it doesn't scare the heck out of you, it should. And then...
Why would I be afraid? Why should it scare the heck out of me? Looking at the paperwork from the 2020 election, just looking at it should scare the hell out of you? I've said it, I'll say it again. Just look at the demeanor of people. When you see Mike Johnson, you see some of the Republicans, when you see President Trump and when he comes out, he smiles, he looks very confident. Stephen Miller always looks very confident. Every single person that comes out looks very confident. These people are freaking out. These people don't understand it. Let me check that.
If you go back to the report, the Bipartisan Intelligence Committee investigation report into the 2016 interference, unanimously agreed to by including the Secretary of State and all of the members of the committee, it said one of the strongest protections we had about interference in our election system was the fact of our decentralization, that we have these elections carried out as laid out in the Constitution by states and localities. The idea that now Donald Trump wants to nationalize.
SV just told me, gave me an alert. Trump just turned on the camera, so give me 90 seconds to get this all set up.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very important day. We have a lot of important days, but I'm thrilled to sign the Consolidated Appropriations Act to immediately reopen the federal government and fund the vast majority of operations through the rest of the fiscal year. I want to thank, and I have a list here because the list is growing all the time. Everybody wants to be a part of this, so I think I'm going to read the names. I think you deserve to have your names read, and if I don't read any, just raise your hand and let's have it. But I have to start with Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an incredible job, done really an incredible job, and we appreciate it. Tom Cole, Ronnie Jackson, Buddy Carter, Stephanie Bice, Ken Calvert, John Carter, David Joyce, Steve Womack, and on Steve Womack, I just, where's Steve?
Right here.
Where's Steve?
Mr. President.
Come here, Steve. I want to just, he had a rough, that's a rough week or so, right?
Tough,
Had
Mr.
an
President.
incredible wife who passed away, but she was an incredible woman, and everybody knows it, everybody up here, so we're with you all the way. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm glad you
We're
could
grateful.
be here.
Grateful.
I understand it. That's a rough deal. He went through rough. He had a good marriage. Good marriage is better than a bad marriage, but it makes it a little bit tougher when something like that happens. Robert Adderholt.
Out here. Thank you.
Susan Collins. Hi, Susan. I heard you're doing good. Cindy Hyde-Smith.
Right here.
Cindy, well, you always do good, Cindy.
Thank you.
Bill Haggerty. Hi, Bill. Lindsey Graham, who's way up in the polls. Lindsey, what's going on with you? You're so high. I don't
It has
think.
a lot to do with you, don't forget that.
Well, has the opponent dropped out? Has your Democrat opponent
You
dropped
come to
out?
South Carolina, they're gone.
Mario Diaz-Balart.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mario. Katie Britt.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Katie. What a job you're doing.
Thank you.
John Barrasso. He knows more about healthcare than any human being on earth, I think, when I need somebody. John is a great person, too. Shelley Moore Capito. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, sir.
Very much. Hal Duncan, Associate Director of the Legislative Affairs. Thank you, Hal. Great job. And Susan Ross Avison and Betsy McConnell, they were really instrumental and they really worked hard. So I want to thank you all. I don't want to, anybody I didn't mention? Oh boy, that'd be nice. Because, you know, it's a little embarrassing when they stick their hand up. I think they'd just be quiet. It's probably easier. But I'm glad, I'm glad we got you in because you really have worked hard. This bill is a great victory for the American people. Instead of a bloated and wasteful omnibus monstrosity full of special interest handouts, we've succeeded in passing a fiscally responsible package that actually cuts wasteful federal spending while supporting critical programs for the safety, security, and prosperity of the American people. And this group of people behind me and others, and a lot of votes, they really have done a fantastic job because closing the country, you know, we had a 5.6, and it could have been 7. We lost 1.5 points because of a 42-day shutdown. And that's the least of it. But we would have been at 7. Can you believe it? 7 GDP. Nobody ever heard of a 7 GDP. So I'm glad we got this done, because this would be another point and a half or something, or maybe worse. The bill officially ends all taxpayer subsidies for radical far-left woke programming on NPR and PBS, or just a waste of money. It slashes nearly $10 billion in wasteful foreign aid spending, giving money to countries that don't need it. They have plenty of money. And we ended that. That was so important, $10 billion. Think of it. It continues the closure of USAID and creates a brand new America First Opportunity Fund for responsibly providing foreign assistance to nations where it actually serves American interests. So we have nations that do help us, and it serves our interests, so we have something to help them out with. This bill also cuts funding to abusive and weaponized IRS programs. I was a victim of that too. You probably read that. Did you read that recently, right?
Yes, sir.
I was, I guess, the ultimate victim. That were used to harass American taxpayers. It builds on the Republican rescissions package passed last summer, which saved Americans billions and billions of dollars. It fully funds our military, includes a well-deserved pay raise for all American service members, and makes historic investments in the American shipbuilding industry, which is great. We're really starting to do something incredible with shipbuilding. And I don't know if you saw that the United States of America, for the first time in over 30 years, beat Japan. We love Japan, great country, but their power in steel making, that we produce more steel this year than Japan. Think of that, more steel than Japan, and Japan is a powerhouse at that. And we were pretty much dead when it came to steel. So what do you think of that? No. To me, when I heard that, we did more than Japan. It continues to fund deportation flights that are removing dangerous illegal aliens from our country. It continues historically successful efforts to reduce crime in our nation's capital. We have a very safe city right now. We have a city that is like a different world from what it was a year and a half ago, when you couldn't walk down a street without being hurt very badly. I want to say that in a nice way. Washington, D.C. is a safe city. Memphis, by the way, is down. Crime is down 77%. Amen. And in New Orleans, I don't know if you heard these numbers, but in New Orleans, we started 4 weeks ago, max, and crime is down 68%. It's going to be down to practically nothing within the next month. Pretty amazing. But it all helped cut the number of murders in D.C. by 80%. And we have numbers coming up, newer numbers. We're down 97% in murders. It's a horrible thing to even be talking about, murders in D.C. But a lot of people were being killed in Washington, D.C., if you can believe it. And now we have a very safe, I don't know if there's any such thing as crime-free, but pretty close in January compared to 12 months ago. So we have close to 95% down crime in Washington, D.C. It allows all of you people to walk to the White House instead of getting into an Uber and getting mugged even as the Uber progresses, okay? And it continues funding for the Department of Homeland Security until later in the year. And finally, I am extremely pleased to announce that this bill includes a newly designated, movie star, Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. So she really loves the children, and she's had a tremendous success. So it's the #1 documentary in 19 years. Can you believe this? What do I get out of it? Nothing out of it. Now I had a top model, now I have a top movie star. But we have a great First Lady. She loves children, and she had a tremendous vote on this. And I want to just say, Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative within the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which will support America's foster youth and provide them critical resources as they age out of the foster care system. And the First Lady loves children, and she's been very much involved with children and helping them out and making them better. That's what she wants to do, wants to help them, and she wants to make them better. And she does a great job of it. She's respected and her movie got really incredible reviews. She's done it. We're all proud of her. Actually, it's amazing. Not easy to do that. Not easy to do it. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. If you would have some questions, I might just ask before you do that. These are all outstanding politicians, the top. In my opinion, the top in the whole world. But that's one of those things. I like to build it up a little bit. But they are. They're the top politicians. They're the top political minds. And if you have any statement, does anybody have a statement that you'd like to make? We'll start on the left side. Anybody? How about Mr. Speaker?
Well, this is a big thing, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and helping us steward this through. For a long time, we wanted to get back to regular order in the appropriations process. You're standing up here with the best appropriators in the business and have served in many years. And we've forced the muscle memory back. We're getting back to that regular order process. 12 separate appropriations bills. We've gotten them to your desk, and this is a big thing. It seems like a small thing, but it's a big thing. And we're spending less money year over year, and with all the innovations and things that you said there, this is good for the country. And America is back. The hat is appropriate. It's the right slogan.
There's a new hat. We just came out. America is back. Look, CNN's thrilled. Look at her. She's never smiles. I never see her smile. Someday I'll see her smile.
Mr. President,
Yes.
could I mention that there's significant health care reform in this bill, PBM reform, something that you have been working on, and we appreciate and applaud your efforts, bringing drug prices down for citizens here in America. Not only that, but we extended telehealth, and also we are addressing maternal mortality in this bill. Rural health care has been a big part of your focus, and we appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, buddy. A very big thing, I think, for all of us is most favored nations on drug pricing. So for 30 years I've been talking about it, more than that, and it's basically we now will take prescription drugs will come down to the lowest price anywhere in the world. So if a country is selling a pill for $10, and we're selling it for $130, which is not much of an exaggeration at all. We were paying the highest drug prices anywhere in the world. Now we'll be paying tied with the lowest price. It's most favored nations. We will have the lowest price anywhere in the world. So a pill that was for $130 will be down to $20. So you can make a case that that's 800, 900%, or like the press likes to hear, it's about 80%. But we're going to get reductions like nobody's ever seen. And frankly, the Republican Party should be able to win the midterms on that alone. That's the biggest thing there is. Most favored nations, we're going to be bringing the price of drugs down. In my first term, I got it down 1/8 of 1%. And I was so proud because it's the first time in 28 years that drug prices came down. And now we're talking about bringing it down by 80, 90, 75, 68. I mean, I have numbers in the back that nobody can believe. Most favored nations. And remember, the Republicans did that. The Democrats did not do that. Republicans did it. And that's going to have a huge impact also on healthcare because medicine, I mean, it's a big chunk of healthcare. And if you're bringing something down from $100 down to $20, $18, because we were subsidizing the entire world. And frankly, I had to get the countries to go along with it, and I had to threaten tariffs against them if they didn't approve. And the healthcare companies, who weren't easy either, but they said it doesn't matter because they'll never get the countries, because they didn't really want to do it. And I got the countries. I got every one of them. And really, people can't even believe it. But for the people standing behind me, if you use that alone, you should win. We should win the elections coming up. Anybody else? How about on this side?
Well, you mentioned the IRS,
Yeah,
Mr. President. Their behavior has been atrocious. If you think about leaking your tax returns, the tax returns of others, and never any accountability. I must have questioned Janet Yellen 4 times, 5 times under oath about this, and never an answer. We stripped $10 billion from the IRS in this bill that you just signed. And today, I launched an investigation with my staff on all of these contractors that are associated with the ones that allowed your information to be put out. These contractors that hire activists to come in and do their work. These corporations here in America that bring activists in to do their work. That's going to come to an end.
They did leak my tax returns. It was terrible. The good news is I paid a hell of a lot of tax. I paid tens of millions of dollars. I said, where are my accountants? I want to talk to my accountant. But they did. They leaked my tax returns. They didn't do it in a nice way. They tried to get something out of it. No, they're bad people.
Accountability is coming, though. You think about the phone companies that leaked our telephone records, several of us here.
Right.
Verizon leaked my telephone records. You think about what's happened across the country. This is going to come to an end.
And we should have voter ID, by the way. We should have a lot of the things that I think everybody wants to see. Who would not want voter ID? Only somebody that wants to cheat. Think of it. We don't have voter ID. And the Democrats don't want it. And the reason they don't want it because they want to cheat. Because there's no reason in the world. And I love that debate, Lindsay. I love saying, well, why don't you want voter ID? And you watch them say, I don't know. I just
make them vote.
No, it's a terrible thing. So anyway, anybody else?
Well, Mr. President, you
Please.
said you wanted to make America safer and more prosperous,
right.
and we have done it. More prosperity means more money in people's pockets, and they notice that every time they go to fill up with gas, and they're going to know it when they get their tax returns that this year are going to be at least $1,000, if not more, greater than it's been in the past, and that's a result of the work that you've done with this whole group. And in terms of America being safer, a number of us were at the border 2 weeks ago. The border is secure. No one is coming across, not the 10,000 we saw every day with Joe Biden. And the American people still, in overwhelming numbers, Republicans, Democrats, and independents all say illegal immigrant criminals need to be deported. And Mr. President, you're doing that.
And no tax on tips.
No tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security.
No tax on
More money in people's pockets.
Think of it. And that was all the great big beautiful bill, as I call it, the great big beautiful bill. To me, that's what it is. And people are starting to realize it now. They're starting to see it.
They're going to see it in their
a tax deduction on if you buy a car, if it's made in America, only if it's made in America. The rest we don't care about so much. But you buy a car, you get an interest deduction. You borrow money, you get an interest tax deduction. And that is, you take interest, you deduct it against your tax. So to me, that's unbelievable for the people, unbelievable for our car companies, which is jobs. Anybody else have anything?
Mr. President, the biggest part of this bill is our national security.
Right.
And thank you. The men and women who served this country are grateful to you. We give them a pay raise. We're building more ships, as you said, planes, missiles. We need to defend this country, and you're doing a great job in leading us in the right direction.
Thank you very much. Katie, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Yeah, no, Mr. President, this is just unprecedented leadership. The fact that you got everyone to come together and actually get these bills across the finish line, you heard it from the Speaker that hasn't happened in a long time. So 96% of the government being funded, your priorities put in place, Mr. President, so that we can make the country safer, we can make it more prosperous, and not only can we make America great again, but we can tell people now America is back.
Yeah, it's a great, we'll never forget MAGA, and we're all with MAGA, but I thought this was very appropriate, right?
Love it.
Right?
Love it. It says everything.
Cindy Hyde, come on, say something.
Well, there's a little hospital in here, a rural hospital in Maple, Mississippi,
Right?
called Franklin County Hospital. It would have closed the end of this month without this bill. Thank you from everybody in Mississippi, especially Franklin County.
And we've covered the rural very well. Nobody ever thought it was possible because we had a lot of opposition from the Democrats, as you know, but nobody thought it was possible. That's great. How about it? Anybody back there? Tom?
Best budget for Native Americans ever, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Appreciate that help.
So we'll sign it, then if you would have some questions of anybody up here.
Let me just piggyback. This rural America is taken care of in this bill, and let me, as Cindy says. So thank you for all America, but especially rural America.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So I probably won't hold this up. And I think holding up one little page doesn't do it justice. 'Cause in there, it's a lot of stuff, but it's signed. Thank you.
Thank you. On Iran, are the negotiations still happening this week?
Yeah.
Where will they be? And what do you need to hear from Iran?
They're all over, but they are negotiating. They'd like to do something, and we'll see if something is going to be done. They had a chance to do something a while ago, and it didn't work out, and we did midnight hammer. I don't think they want that happening again, but they would like to negotiate. We are negotiating with them right now, yes.
Mr. President. Where will the meeting be? It seems like
I
it's
can't tell
changing.
you that.
Mr. President.
There's more than one meeting. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, how was your meeting with Gustavo Petro earlier today, and did you come to any agreement on counter-narcotic efforts?
Yeah, we did. We worked on it, and we got along very well. He and I weren't exactly the best of friends, but I wasn't insulted because I never met him. I didn't know him at all. And we got along very well, and we're working on that. We're working on some other things, too, including sanctions. And yeah, we had a very good meeting. I thought he was terrific. Yeah, he was very good. We got along great.
Mr. President, can you give us any update on how the talks are going for potential changes to the Department of Homeland Security? Have you agreed to any specifics?
None. Well, we have a secure border. In fact, we have 9 months now where nobody has come into our country illegally. Now, I don't know if I can believe that because, you go from 25 million people to nobody, but the Democrats do that. They're leaning left, the people that do that report. And for 9 months, they have said nobody has come into it. It is a strong, great border. We do have people coming into our country, but they're all coming in legally. You take a look at that and look at what was going on a year and a half ago on our border, where criminals were coming in, drug dealers were coming in, people from mental institutions were coming in. The worst, they say the worst, I don't even know if I like the term, but the worst of the worst was coming into our country. And now we have virtually our country it's beautiful to see. Even if you go down, some of you, I think, were down there a couple of weeks ago, and you couldn't believe it, right? Because you were there 2 years ago.
10,000 a day.
And 10,000 a day, and now you didn't even see anybody. Nobody comes up. We're saving lives because nobody comes up. They have to come through the jungles, and they're dying of all sorts of problems, including murder. And we have nobody coming in, and we're getting people out. That we have 11,888 murderers who came into our country. We're getting them out. We're getting them out fast. And the only place where there's a little bit of a problem, and I will tell you this. Minnesota, their crime because of us, because we've taken out thousands of criminals, their crime is down. Not because of anybody else, it's because of us. Their crime is down. But all over the country, wherever we're involved, we're getting criminals out of our country, and the crime rate now is the lowest it's been since 1900. That's 125 years, and that's despite the fact with an open border stupid policy, 25 million people, in my opinion, came into our country, and many of those people should not have been allowed to come into our country.
On Ukraine, Mr. President, yesterday you were talking about how Vladimir Putin had agreed to a pause during the cold weather. Overnight, those attacks have started up again. Apparently, the worst.
It was Sunday to Sunday, and it opened up, and he hit him hard last night. No, he agreed. He kept his word on that. It's a lot. 1 week is, we'll take anything because it's really, really cold over there. But it was on Sunday, and he went from Sunday to Sunday.
Are you disappointed he didn't go further or go
I
longer?
would like to. I want him to end the war. I spoke to him. I want him to end the war.
Mr. President, what exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections? And which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is, I think the federal government, when you see crooked elections, and we had plenty of them, and by the way, we had them last time, but go to 2020 and look at the facts that are coming out. Rigged, crooked elections. If we have areas, take a look at Detroit, take a look at Pennsylvania, take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta, look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections. And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
The Constitution says it should be states that
Go
administer
ahead.
elections, Mr. President.
Yeah,
That's what the
you know
Constitution
what?
says.
They can administer the election, but they have to do it honestly.
Are you open to negotiating on warrants when it comes to ICE? This is an ask from Senator Schumer. Requiring search warrants for ICE and immigration officials.
I haven't even thought of it. I'm not thinking about search warrants. Yeah, Lindsey Graham is going to answer that.
No, makes no sense. If we have to get a search warrant to get 15 million people out, Schumer's telling me he doesn't want them out. It's the most ridiculous idea. They do have some good ideas, I think. But I've got a better idea. It's your idea. In sanctuary cities. On immigration, I know what I'm talking about. I've got the scars to prove it. Y'all are playing like Biden didn't exist. Y'all won't tell the American people about Lake and Riley. It's a one-sided debate. For 4 years, our border was obliterated. They let them come in by the tens of millions, and they want to go back that way. We're not going. So, Mr. President, stick to your guns. If you got reforms that make ICE better, more professional, talk to me. But you should embrace what I'm suggesting. As long as 12 states have sanctuary policy, they'll keep coming. Unfortunately, you won't be president forever. These magnets of illegal immigration have to go. There is no upside to sanctuary city unless you're a complete radical nut job. The cops hate it, fraud around sanctuary cities, and you're going to get more illegal immigration. We're going to have a debate. I've been trying to solve this problem, but what the Democrats are doing is they're not getting to the underlying problem. It's not Stephen Miller. It's not Chrissy Nome. It's not me. It's not you. It's policies that have been on the books that don't work. So if you want to debate on how to solve this problem, show up next week. I'm going to take President Trump's idea that it's time to end the insane policy of sanctuary cities. We're going to take it to the floor and we're going to vote, and people in November are going to get to see who they trust to keep the border secure. Schumer or Trump? I'm with Trump.
Mr. President. And by the way, I hope you're going to press that very hard. And the other thing, we are with you. I think everybody's with you. It's a sanctuary for criminals. That's who it is. They could make our lives so much easier. All they have to do is hand over their criminals, hand over people that came into our country illegally that are murderers, that came out of jails, that came out of mental institutions, that are drug dealers. I can't believe in Minnesota that they want to have murderers walking all over the streets. I just don't believe it. Maybe somebody says it's good politics. I don't think it's good politics. I think it's really bad. The other thing we can't lose sight of is you probably have in Minnesota, and it's worse in some places like California, $19 billion in fraud. And we're going to find out, we're very deep into that investigation. But we're not going to forget that. A lot of people think that a lot of this nonsense that's going on is to try and, hide what's going on with respect to the fraud. They have at least $19 billion. You're hearing 9. Now I'm hearing it's 19, and it's probably much more. So it's they talk about incompetence. I think it's not incompetence. I think it's just pure fraud. These are dishonest people. They're bad people. I think they hate our country, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. But don't let this hide the fact that you have tremendous fraud. And, if we find the fraud in this country, you'll have a balanced budget without even cutting anything. You'll literally have a balanced budget. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, in Colombia, are you planning to work with President Petro to fight guerrilla groups and terrorist organizations in Venezuela?
Well, they want me to do that, and we will. We're getting along very well in Venezuela with the leadership. Very, very well. We took in 50 million barrels of oil. It's right now heading to Houston. And we're getting along very well with them, but we're going to work with them, yes.
A few months ago, you had in your office here Peter Mandelson, the British ambassador. You were shaking hands with him over a trade deal. He's today been forced to resign from the House of Lords, the upper house of the British Parliament, over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Just wondered if you had any reaction to that, since obviously he was.
I didn't know about it, but I really don't know too much about it. I know who he is. It's too bad. Speaking of Epstein, I will say this. A reporter named Wolf and Epstein conspired. This just came out yesterday in the millions of pages of documents, how crazy this is. Conspired against me in order to fight like hell to make sure I lose the election. That's the only thing that was mentioned about me. Now, about Democrats, some really bad stuff, but about me, that Wolf, whoever Wolf is, he wrote a book, a couple of books, and Epstein conspired against me. Did you know that, Mr. Senator?
I did know that.
They conspired against me, so I
read
lose
it.
the
I didn't know
election,
it before
or worse.
Before the reported.
So that takes care of Epstein as far as Trump is concerned. But you got a lot of Democrats out there that are very much involved with Epstein. But I'll be honest with you, you got to get back to running the country too. Millions and millions every week. You know, when Epstein was alive, nobody cared about him. When he's dead, they care about him. But it's really a Democrat problem. It's not a Republican, it's a Democrat problem. The only problem Republicans have is that we have to get back to, number one, running our country, and then number two, very importantly, letting the public know what a great job we're doing. We have the greatest economy in the history of the world. We have $18 trillion being spent. The record was $3 trillion many years ago, not by us, by another country. I won't say the country. Yeah, please.
Did you read those new files, Mr. President?
Have you been briefed on Savannah Guthrie's mom missing in Arizona?
I think it's terrible.
Would you commit to more federal agents, like helping out on the search?
Sure, I would. I'm going to call her later on. I think it's a terrible thing. I always got along very good with Savannah. Very unusual situation, but we're going to find out. Yeah, what do you want?
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing. You know, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. You know, I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really, you know, now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
Well, what would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare,
justice, Mr. President?
something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten
You are the
justice?
worst reporter. No one. So shut up, bitch. Ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile. Why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you. Okay, go ahead.
So shut up, bitch! Your health care. And the bill that was just passed does not include your health care savings account. So this is a question for you and maybe for Mr. Speaker as well.
I'm so proud of the healthcare savings accounts because it's going to happen. And hopefully, instead of insurance, and I hope this happens, and I hope you guys can do it, let the insurance companies not do quite as well. You know, they're going up 15, 16, 17, 100%. Think of it. The money should be paid directly to the people. You know, trillions of dollars goes out. The money should go to the people. They should buy their own health care. It can be in a health care, you know, account, savings account, any account you want to make. The money should go to the people. The people should buy their own health care, and they're going to save a lot of money, and they're going to have much better health care. And it's very simple. The problem is the Democrats are owned by those insurance companies. They're owned lock, stock, and barrel. And the Democrats will never vote on it because the Republicans should get that through. And you know how you get it through? The filibuster. Get rid of the filibuster and start voting. Yes.
Mr. President, today we heard that the Clintons set deposition dates to testify before the House Oversight Committee. Any reaction to that related to the Epstein?
I think it's a shame, to be honest. I always liked him. Her, yeah. She's a very capable woman. She was better in debating than some of the other people, I will tell you that. She was smart woman. I hate to see it in many ways. I hate to see it. But, you know, then I look at me. They went after me like, you know, they wanted me to go to jail for the rest of my life. Then it turned out I was innocent, very innocent. You know, I had a friend that said, a very smart friend, he's a very wealthy man, knows the life, streetwise guy. He said, you have to be the most honest person anywhere in the world because there's never been anybody who's been examined up and down. You know, I have hundreds of thousands of pages of documents, millions of pages. With all of that, they found absolutely nothing wrong. Remember, his tax returns, they fought for years and years. And then the Supreme Court, I was surprised, they ruled I had to give my tax returns. I'm the only one that had to ever do that. But I had to give my tax returns. I gave my tax returns. They hired the best accounting firms in the world. They found nothing. And this friend of mine said, you have to be the most honest person in the world. He actually said, you know, me referring to him, I'm a pretty honest guy, but I could have never withstood that. They've gone through millions and millions of pages, and here I sit winning an election in a landslide, winning the popular vote, winning all 7 swing states, winning 86% of the counties in the United States. That's why those maps that you see are all red. And so they tried to put me in jail. And I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel badly that they have to go through that. But then I say, but they did far worse than me. They wanted to put me in jail. Think of it. I was a very good president. We had a great first term. Rebuilt the military, biggest tax cuts ever, biggest regulation cuts ever. But, you know, I will say this. I think I can say, what do you think, Lindsay? My second term is blowing my first term away. And my first term was really good.
Reagan plus.
Reagan plus, yeah. Well, whatever. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Start moving. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Go. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
They seem like dogs being herded cattle. My gosh, I can't even imagine somebody hustling me out like that. I would leave on my own. You wouldn't have to do that to me. All right, so President Trump, poor Caitlin. At this point, I think she's a sadist. What do you know? A sadomasochist, because she has no problem doing stuff. She knows she's going to get slapped down. She knows he's going to just do whatever he needs to do. Oh my gosh, but she puts up with it. All right, everybody, it's 5 o'clock and I've had a long 2 days. We still got a half hour left, actually probably 40 minutes left because we got the after party, which by the way, when I do the after party, I'm still here. And then I've got 10 minutes more. We're going to have to do super chat. So I'm not even getting out of the office here probably until close to 6:15. So with everything that had to happen, thank God the stream didn't break today. Had a couple issues, but I'm not going to be able to do a show tonight, but we'll be back on schedule for 2 tomorrow. All right, let me do super chat. So you guys have been fantastic for bearing with me and everything. I didn't know President Trump was coming on. That was a SV texted me and said, he's on. I'm like, oh boy. But see, the feed that I get, I can rewind to the beginning so you guys don't miss anything. So we're not, as long as we know he's on, I can pull him in. All right, that being said, first one is correct. Yeah, Trudy. Thank you. Fielka. So wasn't Don Lemon patronizing at the church? Extremely. And he was just on television a second ago. Same old stuff. Oh, looks like Kash Patel is going to be on at 6 p.m. tonight with Brett Baer. So I'll go ahead and record that for tomorrow. Dom, thank you. Pekovsky, thought they got you yesterday. Glad I was wrong. No censorship or anything. Just had a gremlin in here. We weren't hacked or anything. Just I think we had one of those Florida power surges, and when power surges happen, all kinds of things go crazy. I mean, you saw the camera blink off. My headset didn't work. So still got some work to get everything, but at least the stream stayed up. But thank you. Jelly Roll speech. I will download the Jelly Roll speech. So tomorrow night when we talk about Nicki Minaj, I'll have that as well. You can't put that stuff on YouTube because they don't like it. Christina, yes, Barry, if you can do a show with Nikki's tweets, but please let's have a group pair first. It's crazy. Oh, so you've seen it. Okay, so this is what I'll do. I'll see if JJ is available tomorrow night, if he could come on for like 15 minutes or so before we jump over, because I'm going to talk to you about Hotel California. I'm going to show you a couple other music people who are talking about it. Good idea. Very good idea. Jen, besides, be leery of Nikki. Her hubby and bro are. When people say I don't trust this person or be leery of that person, I didn't say anything to you that I was putting any credence into her support of President Trump. What I said earlier was I need to show you what she said about the music industry. I don't know how you conflated those two. I'm pretty sure she's got the cred in terms of the music industry. Lisa, I can see a Dem acknowledge Trump won 2020, then use it to say his current term is illegitimate. Yeah, they'll try anything. Game Animal, Barry, great show. These judges need to be held to account to their constitutional job description. Thanks to you, I've enrolled to buy silver on a monthly basis. Wow, that's very interesting. Congrats. Lisa, thanks, Professor Barry, for giving us sanity in this insane world. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I try to do as much homework as possible, but I was swamped today and I wanted to make sure everything went right. But so far, so good. We've been on for 3 hours. V show, do a show tonight on it. Also listen to P. Diddy, Come With Me, Godzilla. You know what I'm going to do? Have you guys... Oh, I got one for you because I'm trying to think of content for tomorrow night that'll be really sink your teeth into it. There's a, of all people, my grandson, oh, you're going to love this. My grandson told me about this documentary that's out about P. Diddy. And I think it's only like 3 episodes, but we watched the first episode and I was like, this is good. This is good. Maybe see if I can't download that and put it on Rumble. Vielka, Katanji always use her opinion, not the law. Wait, you see, now you're going to make me go there. I had this ready just in case, but now hold on. Where is it? In case you missed it, here was Justice Jackson at the Grammys last night, participating in a standing ovation celebrating Ice Out. And she was there. She was so happy that everybody was saying F Ice. One of our Supreme Court justices was sitting at the Grammy applauding and having fun when they said stuff about ice. How can we have these people? How can she still just retire? I mean, just go ahead and say, man, makes me pissed off. You guys are probably pissed off just seeing what I just showed you. If you didn't see that before, you just saw it. Franco, if the SAFE Act passes, could the Democrats file a court challenge and prevent it from being applicable in the 2026 midterm elections? I think you can count on that. I think that anything that does get passed, they will definitely try to sue, and somebody will give them the injunction. But the problem with that is, and this is why the Republicans need to do it right now, because if they passed it tomorrow, they will be in court within 2 or 3 days, and some liberal judge is probably going to go ahead and put an injunction. And then they're going to have to get to the Supreme Court, which is going to, as I started to show, they understand they're going to get thrown out, but it takes time to have this stuff overturned. So it may, let's say it takes 2 months. And to get in front of it, unless they take an emergency petition. So I don't want this happening in September, because then then the Supreme Court will have to do something very quickly. So you can't let them control the clock. All right. Fernando, thank you very much for all you do. Can you have Steve Hilton too? He's running for, yeah, that's who I believe it is. I believe that if the numbers are correct, Steve Hilton, Republican, Chad Bianco, Republican, are the top 2 people leading right now in California. And the way their voting works, they would basically preclude a Democrat. So I'd like to get, Ashley, if you're hearing, I'd like to get one or both of those guys on. Brianna, I collect sports cards to help me with pots. Tomorrow I pick up 4 graded cards. I'm excited. I sent them to be graded in September. Oh, very cool. And Buddy says, yeah, it's like herding cats. I'd love to have that job. I would love to have the job of going in and telling the press, get out, get the hell out. All right, so it's 5:09, 5:10. We've been live for 3 hours, so I assume that they've got this thing fixed, and hopefully, then I got to try it at home too. But thank you guys for putting up with the craziness. Trust me, I was so frustrated. I kept trying it, and I kept trying it, and kept shutting down on me. And I was screaming on the phone, and then Robin, look, just give it up. Just give it up to God. Just say, you got this, God. Just tell me what you need me to do. And I'm like, okay. And it became so much easier. So I had to take my own medicine there. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, maybe earlier, no later.
you.